Folks, and welcome back to the Bitcast, episode 262. I'm supposed to welcome myself back first. That's the first note I have here.
Nice.
I think I should also explain that Ainsley Bowden, our fearless leader, is having some technical difficulties, which is why I'm in the top left corner and why we have a different outline today. But I'd like to welcome, of course, Dan Rodriguez. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, Ains has died, Travis said, and I about lost it. I was like right in the middle of the intro, and gosh, it's a shame, man.
Ains died. Only 2 more to go.
Yep.
The mission is nearing completion here.
Oh boy, yes. Technical difficulties, no death. I promise, audience.
Yeah.
And of course, that's Travis, our favorite stand-up comedian and IGN reviewer in the bottom there. How you doing morning, Travis?
I'm doing great. I saw somebody asked in the comments. We're going Joker today.
Oh, nice.
Are you ever not the Joker?
That's a great question. I will not be answering. I will not be taking any questions this time, though.
You heard it here first, folks. Travis will not be speaking for the rest of the episode.
That's right.
All right. So I do have some notes here. We'll see. We've welcomed me back. I was out for the week. And then
back.
It looks like
how was the lake?
I'm sorry, Dan?
How was the lake?
Well, the lake was good.
Nice.
It was my favorite. It's my favorite rental property. We've gone there a couple of years in a row. And as we were trying to reserve our stay next year, we were told that the owners had sold the house. So it was kind of a sad leaving, but we had a good time.
Man, that sucks. Just buy it.
Yeah, this is what happens when you can't afford your own lake house, Dan. What can I tell you?
We have to buy ours. I mean, ours is not a house. It's more of like a Kansas house, which is like a really nice trailer, but it's right on the lake, so it's really nice.
Oh, this lake house that we love so much is 900 square feet. It is a box.
Yeah, that's ours, basically. It's got a kitchen, a bathroom, a living room, and that's about it. Yeah, there ain't much to it.
So. Yep. So it was a good
vacation.
My
apartment.
Yeah.
900 square feet.
San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds spacious to me. 900 square feet. That's beautiful.
Oh, man.
Well, it was a good trip. Thank you for asking, Dan. And then you have a comment from James that goes like this. I'm an accountant, and I'm watching firsthand as rising interest rates rise to the highest they've been in almost 20 years, which is longer than I've studied accounting. And it's changing a lot about the decisions businesses are making. The short version is with interest rates this high, delays cost a lot more money. I'll explain. If you look at an environment where Cyberpunk was delayed so many times, the financial cost of that was just extra dev time because interest rates were near zero. If the game doesn't go on sale for an extra year or two, there's no financial impact to waiting a year. But in a world where a game makes $100 million on launch day, you can put that money risk-free in an account that will pay you over $5 million a year in interest. Any delay you make in addition to paying for the extra dev time now also has to make up for that extra $5 million in interest that you don't get by releasing a game a year later. So any delay had better sell 100,000 extra copies of a game on launch day, or even more over a longer period. What do you all think about James's comment?
Where was this? This was on like our show on YouTube or something?
Ains pulls comments from wherever he gets them. It could be his DMs. I don't know. It just says comment from James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know where he gets them.
It sounds like something that would happen. We got Ains back.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You sound as good as you get.
Fair enough. So not great, but serviceable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not
All right.
That's the
probably
Ains
better
special.
than my normal week.
We were just talking about interest rates and the time value of money, Ains.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jesus. Good morning, everyone. So I went to log on, I was a little later than usual, about 5 minutes prior to the show, and my camera was flickering. So I went to replug on the USB. When I did that, I leaned on the power button on my PC. So everything shut down. And then for whatever reason, that sent everything into a tailspin. And I have rebooted 3 times. My mic wasn't working. I've tried 3 headsets, all hell broke loose. So sorry about that. But I am here. Have we, where are we at?
We just read James's comment.
James's comment. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. James often comments on Bitcast. So always some insightful stuff. What did you guys say about it?
We hadn't said anything. I just finished reading the comment and
Okay.
had solicited input from the crew here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Right when we started answering it, you popped up.
Nice. I love interrupting good conversation. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So
Or our conversation, either way.
anyway, please continue as I continue getting set up here, and then we'll move on.
Right.
I
Well,
will
I mean,
say this. Or, hey, listen, let me do this real quick. My wife is an accountant. I don't know anything about this. I am mathematically challenged mostly, and I yield to her and to you guys because I have no clue.
Is she available for the podcast?
No, she's got a headache, which is why I'm in this different room. I'm in my son's room here. You can see the over here, right here.
The tiny
Cracker Barrel,
shirts.
little Cracker Barrel, 2-star.
Does he work at Cracker Barrel?
He does. Both of them do. I got twin.
Oh my
boys.
God, dude. You started a family at Cracker Barrel. You met your wife there. Now you have your kids working there. This is just, this
That's
is
actually
insane.
how Cracker Barrel finds its employees.
That's pretty much
that's how it
it.
is.
Yeah, that's pretty
How-
much it.
How is your life so involved around a restaurant I hadn't even heard of before this podcast? I don't understand. This is
I
crazy.
don't know, man. It just kind of happens. And you know,
Wow.
we're like the farm system here for Cracker Barrel.
I didn't
so.
realize that there was, wow, the world, we all exist in pluralities, guys. I guess
I think I have the Cracker Barrel hat y'all sent me somewhere around here. I just have to find it.
Nice.
Nice.
Those were the days.
I opened,
Yeah,
I opened that box up in the hospital. Cracker Barrel paraphernalia.
Yeah, that's right. We did.
Interest rates causing game delays to be more costly. That sounds like a real thing. I assume interest rates and inflation cause everything to become more expensive and therefore need to sell more copies. But I don't know how. I don't know if people are making business decisions based on this because games do cost years and millions of dollars to develop, and I feel
The
like
CFO definitely is. There's going to be a margin on what it costs to put something on the shelf, whether it's done or whether it's not quite done. And you're valuing a whole bunch of stuff based on how valuable money is right now versus how valuable it is tomorrow. So as interest rates increase, that time value money decreases to a point where you really don't want to put things on the shelf. That's correct. Absolutely. The other aspect of it, of course, is that money tomorrow is worth less also in an inflationary environment because you can buy less with it. So on a micro, we understand that for bread and eggs and milk and whatever. But on a macro, companies understand that for everything they want to do with their hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. But yeah, my point is that there's always been and always will be leverage or push on the people crunching the numbers side on the artists that are trying to build a thing. That's not new.
Yeah, they like to have a product out in the market. They do. Yeah.
Yeah. And the economics, when the economics are bad, that pressure or their leverage, that push and pull relationship probably leans more toward one side, right? The suits need to tell the artists that there's a reality that they're
to be positive and friendly towards the suits, they would like to keep the company in existence.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm not bashing on the suits. I'm just saying that relationship will always exist, and I actually think is a good thing because if you told artists, "Hey, when do you want to put your game out?" they would say never, right? Because when it's perfect, it's Star Citizen exactly. I think that it's a healthy part of the gaming ecosystem that there are business people that are kind of putting some restraints or barriers around when a game can come out and how long it can be in development. But it's definitely not a good thing if that gets pushed too far. I don't know if we're seeing that though. I mean, I'm seeing games come out that maybe have their own problems, but that I don't know would have been necessarily resolved by more development time. But yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's an explanation for why 2023 is hit like it has, because we saw those delays in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, and we got to this year, and we're really not seeing anybody push past it so much. A little bit into quarter one 2024, but not nearly as much as we saw last year.
It's normal stuff, though. Yeah, it's not like anything crazy. So I think if there comes a point where games are coming out half baked and it's very clear that they didn't have enough development time to work on it, then that's a problem. But I don't know that we're seeing that necessarily. So
no, I wouldn't imagine so. And the Cyberpunk example that James raised is the other pushback, right? Nobody wants to be Cyberpunk again.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, is this happening? I don't know any economic anything like say a game dev in Denmark, for example, or as opposed to one say down in Austin or something. Are they going through different? I don't know what the inflation rate is in Europe. I don't know what the hell.
It's a global inflationary environment. Some countries are worse than others.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, so
yeah.
right.
Yep. Yeah,
And
we're certainly
generally,
not the only one feeling the effects.
Sure.
Yeah, we've gone through like recessions and global recessions before, and whenever it happens, game companies are hit just like everyone else. But especially because you are a recreational, non-essential industry, you're usually the first one to take a hit, right? It's pretty easy to just buy fewer games if you're in dire financial straits. So I think stuff like the games industry and movies and that sort of stuff will always be impacted by economic conditions, but I don't know that it's such an impact that it's like fundamentally changing the pieces of art that they're putting out. At least I haven't seen it a ton with very specific exceptions like Stalker 2 because of a war and stuff like that. But yeah, we exist in a world. Games are going to get impacted by stuff happening in that world for sure.
They don't live in a silo. Yes. Well, appreciate that, guys. So I noticed that I'm whiter than normal, which is a tough thing to pull off.
Crazy.
Yeah, I started to try
I didn't notice that.
I did. I started to try to fix it, and I was like, you know what? I'm better off not touching anything right now because we're working. So I'm just going to go this way.
You have a ghost-like appearance.
Yeah. I'm here in spirit. I'm here in spirit.
Yeah. It's not new, though.
No, fair enough. Did you guys happen to shout out Diego, or you might not have known what that's about?
No, I went straight to James's comment. I didn't know shout out. I read it as shout out for San Diego, so I just skipped it.
Yeah,
fair enough.
He's not a big fan of San Diego.
He was like, whatever.
They deserve it. I don't think
San
Diego.
Just a quick shout out. So Diego, if you're not aware, Diego, a good friend of Dan and I, who has been around a very long time. He is the graphic artist who has done a work for a lot of podcasts across the gaming community, and he has done the vast majority of Seasoned Gaming graphics for several years now. Really stand-up guy. A few months ago, he lost his father-in-law, and then
it was earlier this month.
It wasn't even that long ago, was it? Yeah.
August 6th.
Earlier this month, he lost his father-in-law, and some financial struggles have hit the family, and they are now being evicted from their home. So it's not a good situation for him. Like I said, really stand-up guy. I don't share these things too often because, there's just a lot of them out there. But in the link in the description on the Seasoned Gaming side, in the link in the description. In the description, there is a link on the Seasoned Gaming side. If you feeling generous, have anything you can spare to help him out, that would be very appreciative. So appreciated.
Yep.
So, all right. Why don't we jump over? We've got multiple super chats already. Googleman came in early as always. So why don't we knock those out before we get to what we're currently playing and we start to talk about things like Armored Core 6.
Googleman. I think he missed last week, didn't he?
He did miss last week, but he's back.
What happened, dude? I'm glad you're back.
Because Hoeg wasn't here. He didn't
That's
care.
it.
Maybe I am Googleman. You don't know.
That could be. Resub to Game Pass in the wait for Starfield. Started playing Slay the Spire again. Michi Rich Matcha Chocolate Sand or Bomb? I don't know what any of that means.
Meiji Rich Matcha Chocolate Sand. Yeah, I don't know what that is either. But
sounds like a military code.
Yeah, Travis, can you translate that from San Franciscan to normal language?
I believe it's a food of some kind, and I'm sure my fiance would know all about it and tell you 3 great places, and us have to get it. But I don't know enough about stuff like
Perfect.
that.
All right.
Fair enough. Googleman, good to see you back. Hope you're doing well.
Googleman was gone because it was his birthday.
Yeah,
I mean, that still doesn't preclude it from being Hoeg. We've never seen them in the same place.
That's true.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah,
Hoeg does kind of look like a Googleman,
He does.
It does.
He does.
Yeah. PE over on the Hoeg side, member for 12 months. So best thing I ever did. Love to you all. Thank you very much.
Nice.
And by the way, I did mention
yeah.
last week, I believe, that our member chats on both channels are now popping up on our side so we can share them. So feel free to put those through.
good.
Yes. Don Lionheart back in the house.
Don Lyer with a $5 super chat. Hello, Bitcast. Anyone else's condo association roofers puncture a fire sprinkler pipe and cause large amounts of water damage to your walls? Not here. I'm okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's trouble.
Yeah, that's not good. But at least
man.
it's not. It doesn't sound like it's your personal home in the sense of you're responsible for it. Although a roofer doing it, you probably wouldn't be responsible for anyway. But yeah, hope that gets worked out, Don. Sorry to hear it.
Not great.
Thank you, as always, for the super chat and taking time away from your wet walls, apparently, to
He's
to
got
join
another
us.
one right after that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, just me. Hope my OLED is waterproof. It's been a fun week. Man, Don, save that $5.
That would drive me nuts.
Oh.
Yeah, that's no good. I'd lose it. Yeah, sorry to hear it, Don. Hope everything gets worked out. And Shoosh back in the house.
Yeah, Shoosh with the €2. How was the Cauldron Lake, Hoeg?
It's Alan Wake reference.
Well,
Alan
like
Wake
always,
reference.
it's not a lake; it's an ocean.
It's not a Wake, it's an ocean. Come on, guys.
I
Brush
was
up on your way.
Cauldron Lake, but I was playing on Cauldron Lake earlier this week. It was great. Lake houses are awesome. I highly recommend looking at lakes. It's very calming.
Agree.
Nope.
Big agree. All right, Shoosh, thank you very much. All right, guys. Currently playing what I have been playing Armored Core 6, which we will get to. I've also actually been playing a game I can't talk about. I feel like Travis for a change.
Noise.
Yeah, so I can't talk about that one. So
Is it
I don't
Starfield?
No, it's actually not. It's a different game.
I can talk about all my games. I'm not special.
There you go. Go for it, Ho. Kick us off.
So I've been playing a number of games since I was last on a couple weeks ago, including Stray Gods, which I know we want to talk about because we're all into musicals on this podcast.
I talked about it last week, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm in your corner.
Atlas Fallen, more Diablo 4 Season 1, and I really like the announcement of Season 2, so we can talk about that if you want. A game called Fort Solace, which you may have seen at Gamescom opening night. Immortals of Aveum. More Raincoat, which I know we talked about weeks ago. And then Alan Wake in presage of the 13-year-old sequel.
Nice.
All right, start with Stray Gods then, because we did touch on it last week. I know Dan shared that he loves musicals, which I think probably surprised some of the audience.
It surprised me, yeah.
So, how we doing? How do you like it?
So Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, is excellent. It's not much of a role-playing game. It doesn't have a lot of movement in its plot line, and you're not picking a lot of things. It's more of a visual novel with just a few choices here and there.
It's a telltale game with music.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't use an episodic structure, but yeah, it's telltale. Speaking of which, actually, I've also been playing The Expanse. I forgot that.
Nice. Yeah, I've been playing as well.
But it's really good. The music is not what I was expecting. Generally speaking, when you hear musical, when you see it in like a Star Trek or a sitcom or somebody that does a musical episode, they go for the full bombast of a Broadway kind of musical. And Stray Gods is very much not that. It's a lot lighter. It's a more delicate sensibility with the music, but it's really tricky if you look at what they've done. You get options within the songs, and they can change the song types. They can change the instrumentation. They can change what is happening within that song in a way that is really unusual and in my brain, hard to do. And they pull it off pretty well. There's some clunkiness on some of the songs when they transition and what happens with where you are at. And it's not a fully polished piece of software. There's a bit of issues with volumes that I was having from different volumes. But nothing that I don't think you can't patch. I highly recommend it. It's an interesting story. It's well told. It's a good mystery by the end. And if you like that, if you like murder mysteries, if you like Greek gods, if you like anything at all about that, if you're just a big Troy Baker fan, he's in a ton of it. You can get a lot of Troy Baker in Stray Gods. As a matter of fact, you get Laura Bailey can fall in love with Troy Baker, which is a really interesting feeling for a modern video gamer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who did you romance, Hoeg, in this dating
So I have
synergism
to say, my
game?
daughter played through the playthrough that I was watching with her. She
Great.
loves Greek
So
gods.
she went with Troy Baker. Yeah.
She went with Apollo.
Of
We had a lot
course.
of jokes about him refusing to button his shirt.
Yeah.
But,
He makes jokes about it too in the game.
She went with Apollo.
That's fair though. Dan romanced Troy Baker as well. So
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That's
Guys,
really
let's
much
get some fan art of
what I
that.
do.
Can we get
Yeah.
anybody make some
Troy
fan art?
Baker.
Troy
Please
Baker and Dan.
He wears a little Game Awards hat.
Please, God no.
Dan Rodriguez and Troy Baker holding each other in their arms. I think that's great fan
in
art.
that AI art style against the tide's been putting up.
that'd be great.
Can you somehow give us both frosted tips?
That'd
we
be.
can look
Yeah.
extra
I don't know
special?
about that, but I'm for it.
But it really is some of my favorite voice acting of the year. I think they were really into it, and I think it's really well done.
I mean, we got to shout out Austin Wintory for the score, man. I mean, the guy he's one of my favorites. It's one of the reasons I'm on the fence about it. Troy Baker, huge negative. Austin Wintory, huge positive. He's done Journey. He did what was the one?
It's Austin Wintory, not Troy Baker.
Austin Wintory.
Troy Baker's not in Journey.
No. Journey.
Should have been
music for it. Yeah, The Pathless.
What do you do in Journey?
He's done a ton of stuff.
The band too. I wanted to be in Journey. Yeah.
Just keep on believing, Dan.
Yep. No, he's great. I haven't played the game yet, but it's on the list for sure.
Nice.
Laura Bailey, I would call out as just having a tremendous acting performance and just a really good singing voice, which was unexpected.
Nice.
And so if that sounds at all interesting to you at all, I highly recommend Stray Gods. It's not a full price game. It's about a 7-hour run through, maybe, if you're going through, but it's a good mystery. It's well done. If you're looking for something smaller than Diablo or Armored Core or Starfield or any of these other huge forever games, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I also played through it. My fiance also chose Apollo because we let her make the romance decisions in this household, which was fine. I think it was kind of the most boring romance option in the game, to be honest. But whatever, milquetoast. I do like it. I agree with some of the clunkiness with the music and the transitions. It also feels to me like a game where they had all the voice actors record their own audio from their homes because of the mic quality inconsistency and the volume. The sound mixing in general is just pretty rough. With some of the voices feel like they're screaming at you. So yeah, which is really jarring. And then also it does have that stop motion animation with the still images that it's not really like fully animated, which frankly, I think that the game probably would have been multiple times better if they had full animations, because I feel like that's part of what I look for in a musical, right? Is movement.
Well, I think
usually dancing goes hand in hand, and you can't really get that.
It is a motion comic type style, but I think one of the things I was really impressed by actually was how much they used a kind of dynamic camera to have stylized musical moments, especially with things like shadows and just imagery and doing things that are maybe not as normal as you'd expect in that style, which is just, face, wide shot, establishing shot, talking, whoever's talking. They did a lot of dynamic camera movement. I really like the Nazi song.
Yeah.
All right.
They definitely make the most of the.
Do you want to clarify that at all? Context would probably be important.
Hoeg's just a big fan of Nazis in general. Anytime they've got a musical number, Springtime for Hitler, his favorite. Loves it. Can't get enough.
It's about stopping the Nazis, people, or the gods' failure to stop the Nazis. But they do a number of pans over things like stained glass windows, and you've got this awesome stained glass window with like Nazi guns and like atomic bombs and things that is just like, wow, can you even imagine that window existing? But they do a lot of cool stuff with that. It's a good song. It's not a celebration of Nazis.
It's his favorite anthem. Yeah.
Would you call this backpedaling?
It's kind of nice when it's somebody else. I'm just gonna say.
It's cool that they put music to the Siegfried Oath. Hoeg has really been waiting for that to drop.
I think that song's called "We Let It Happen."
Yeah, it is a cool. Yeah, it's great.
But yeah,
That's good.
It's a very good song.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a decent game, and I think probably overlooked in the pile of amazing games that have been coming out recently. But I mean, I played it in like half a day. You know, we just sat down and played for a couple hours and got through it. So it's definitely one you can make time for if you want to, and I'd recommend it. I think it's pretty good.
Nice. What platforms is it on? Do you know?
Everything.
I played it on PlayStation.
I played it on Xbox.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Someone was asking if The Expanse is on Switch, and I quickly looked, and I didn't see that The Expanse was on Switch.
I don't think it is.
Okay. All right. You mentioned a bunch of games there, Hoeg. Someone asked in the chat about Raincode again. I know you mentioned that one a couple weeks ago. How's that going?
Raincode is great. Raincode, you have to have a tolerance for long dialogue scenes and long cutscenes.
So Kojima fan.
No, you're a Yakuza fan. That's Yakuza right in the...
Yeah, I mean, it's a mystery done by like the Danganronpa people. And so they take a lot of time to talk. They take a lot of time to explain what happened in the mystery, but they're really weird. And it's a noir in a way that video games don't usually do. So it's got a lot of institutional thoughts about a fallen city that's run by a corporation, essentially. It's really, really good.
Good.
I really, really like Raincode. But you have to have a tolerance for long cutscenes and anime tropes.
Fair enough. Yeah, you lost me, but that's okay.
I got one or two of those.
Yep. What else? I know you mentioned a bunch of games there, or if anyone
Immortals
else.
of Aveum was a big one for him.
Yes,
I love Immortals of Aveum.
That's a new release this week. Yeah, new release this week. Reviews came in. It looks to be about in the 7-ish range, I think, on overall once everything's tallied up. And I've seen some people playing it. I have not played it, but I know Luke over at Xbox Expansion Pass is enjoying it. What do you think?
If you guys don't know, Immortals of Aveum is what we were calling Magic Call of Duty. It's got some Call of Duty pedigree. It's got a lot of money behind it. It's an EA original, which just makes them publisher of what amounts to an indie game, but it's got a lot more money in it than you would expect from an indie game. And it's more than Magic Call of Duty. It really is interested in telling a story about a place and using characters in a way that modern Call of Duty campaigns don't appear to be to me. And so I recommend it for anybody that likes story first person games. The Wolfenstein reboots.
Nice.
That kind of thing.
Games.
There's dialogue trees. There's a lore codex. It's that kind of game.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. The combat is maybe not as smooth as they would want it to be. You've got kind of a pistol spell and a shotgun spell and an automatic spell as your primaries, and then you can gain different equipment and armor and get different powers. But it's a really interesting place that wants to be essentially an RPG with its storytelling. And having just come off of Final Fantasy 16, I think it's arguably more of an RPG than that. That doesn't mean
it's not saying a whole lot.
That's not saying its story is as good or that it'll go as big, but you do get these huge kind of Call of Duty levels with like things flying around and giant Argonath type statues falling over, and all in the midst of something that you actually care about. At least I did, more than modern Call of Duty campaigns.
Nice. Yeah, it's you mentioned it being an EA original. It's Ascendant Studios, which was actually founded in 2018. So it's been 5 years since they were founded. And as you said, there was developers there. I'm reading the preview we put up of it from Electronic Arts and Telltale Games and Call of Duty devs. So over 100 full-time developers there. So as you said, pretty big budget in terms of an EA original.
It feels big.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. I was when I saw the reviews, you never really know what to expect with something like this, but I guess it kind of fell in terms of a freshman effort, from a major, what is a new major studio. And sadly, as we know, it's releasing in the heart of, as we keep saying, many of us keep saying, one of the greatest time for games ever. So I kind of felt bad that it may get really overlooked, because we talk a lot about originality and new IPs and wanting to see new kind of things. And this is that. This is a studio trying something different, who had a clear vision of what they were trying to achieve. And it sounds like, from you and others I've spoken to, and generally speaking, they've kind of achieved most of that vision, which is cool to see.
I really like it. And it's got, I can't remember the actress's name. It's got the lady that was used to be Destiny. Nope,
that's
it's like
the
Gina
guy.
Torres, I want to say. But she's your general and walks you through the stuff in the game. And
Okay.
if you like that kind of fantasy, if you're a novel reader, if you like something like a Mistborn, it's got that kind of vibe.
Gotcha. Cool. Very cool. But yeah, that's out now. Reviews are out there. And like I said, some of the shows and people that we often have on this show are talking about it as well. So you can check that out. Very cool.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot. I've been having more fun with that than Armored Core, but that's because I suck at games, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, Armored Core's pretty challenging. I just started playing it last night.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I want to try Immortals of Aveum. That one's been, I bought it. I just haven't had time with all the Starfield shit. So.
Yep, I really like Immortals of Aveum. Highly recommend. I've also been enjoying Fort Solace. It's much slower. It's a narrative-first game. You walk around, you see things. It's essentially, if you imagine walking around a Dead Space environment or a Callisto Protocol environment, but there are no zombies or monsters.
And no combat, from what I hear.
Right. It's a
walking simulator,
adventure game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it got kind of panned a bit, I saw, in the sense of there was some very negative commentary around it. I guess I don't know if maybe it wasn't what people expected. I don't really know. But
I mean, that's
yeah,
it was probably they saw a trailer with like eerie environments and thought, oh, there's going to be monsters popping out at some point, and then they never do. But yeah, if you know that studio, you would never expect that from them. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's sitting. I was just trying to look. It's sitting at a 55 on Meta right now.
That's a surprise to me because it's highly produced. And again, another place where the voice acting is good. I know I'm not allowed to say good things about Troy Baker, Dan, but he does good.
He's good at what he does. I mean, that's.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I just can't stand the guy.
He's not the primary in Fort Solace either. It's Roger Clark.
Oh, there you go. Roger's a legend. Come on.
I like him. He's good.
So I've been enjoying it. I haven't seen any reviews, but I'm a sucker for a narrative game that puts money into its environment and tries to tell a story.
Well, and I think it's important to remember, especially in a year like now with so many big games, that we talk a lot about kind of gems. Just because a game gets a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or whatever it may be, doesn't mean there's not good qualities or good fun to be had there. I think often we get too wrapped up in the whole meta conversation, and it kind of detracts from people experiencing different things. So cool. Travis, Dan, you got anything you want to talk about in terms of what you're playing?
Yeah, Hoeg, I told the boys this last week, but I had sort of a renaissance week the week before Starfield, where I was able to catch up on every game I hadn't finished, and one of those was Cyberpunk. So I just want Ains, who still hasn't beaten Horizon, to know, and I want Hoeg, who still hasn't beaten Xenoblade 3, to know.
I started that back up again at the lake, by the way.
Really?
So I'm 48 hours behind. But
are we still in chapter 4? Where are we
in chapter 1. I restarted.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, he's never gonna do it, boys.
Anyway, you have to with games like that, though, man, because then you forget everything.
Funny. That's so funny.
No, I did restart that.
Obviously, the main thing I've been playing the last 2 weeks has been Starfield, which I am not allowed to talk about. I will be able to talk about it on Thursday, August 31st. I'm not doing the review, but I have a ton of thoughts about it. Obviously, I'm coming on. I'll have finished it by August 31st for sure. All the stuff I want to do in it anyway. And then I'm also playing Skull and Bones.
I was going to mention that today. So I got invited to the test, but I'm playing this other game I can't talk about at all. I can't even say the name. So yeah, there's a playtest going on right now for Skull and Bones.
There is, and I will say, I played maybe 6 hours of it. It's better than I thought it would be. It's pretty good, considering the game's been in development hell for like a decade. You know what I mean? Like, I think the first time I heard about Skull and Bones was at like E3 2015. It was like a very long time ago, guys. But yeah, considering that, like, surprisingly pretty good. The closed beta has some tech issues and whatnot, but like, you know, you're going around a ship, shooting things. It's got story, which I was surprised to see. It's less like Sea of Thieves. People will steal from you, and more like you actually can't attack players that are just minding their own business. They have to do certain activities where they're sort of like challenging the server.
You got to be blood marked.
Down. Yeah, exactly. And then it's more like co-op, going around and killing AI, and it's like kind of got survival game elements where you stop at islands to collect resources and build better ships, and you can have a pet lemur with an eye patch, as I'm wont to do.
That's all Travis has wanted from
gaming
dude.
His entire career. It's really all I wanted. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, but I'm going to write about it. I'm going to do like a preview next week, so you can take a look for that. But yeah, Skull and Bones. I can't believe it actually exists.
What is that currently aimed to release, Travis?
It doesn't have a release date, right?
Isn't it? I think
I don't
it is
think
this
so.
year. Oh. Well, if it doesn't come out this year, I would be very surprised. I think it's probably going to come out this year.
Yeah, we can double check. But I was actually gonna. The reason I put this on the notes is I was gonna defend Ubisoft a little bit because we've had our fun with Skull and Bones multiple times on this show, and I haven't played the recent build, so that's good to hear that it seems to be kind of better than you thought it would be. But I was kind of reflecting on Ubisoft where they sit right now, and if you look at where they're at, right, they've got Assassin's Creed Mirage coming out, which, you know, we'll see how that performs once it releases, but it looks excellent. I know the Assassin's Creed fans that I talk to are really, really, really hyped for it. And keep in mind, let's give them credit where credit is due. They've gone back to the more classic Assassin's Creed formula, which is what they're, at least a subset of their fans were really asking for. So I think that's praiseworthy.
Well,
they've got the.
I think they're going to run both.
They are. I mean, they're investing crazy amounts of money into AC. The Prince of Persia 2D game looks fantastic from parts of the old Rayman team. It looks incredible. I played, which I spoke about a few weeks ago, the Crew Motorfest, which, sure, you can say it's a copy of Horizon, which it is, I mean, through and through. But it's also very well produced. It plays very well. It looks beautiful. I think that's going to do well. And I saw this week that when it comes out next month, they're giving everyone the chance to play it for 3 days for free, the full game. And then if you want to buy it, you can buy it and keep your progress and all that, which is a very cool thing to do. And then you have Skull and Bones, which, as we said, they've had to have invested ridiculous amounts of money in by now because it's been in development forever.
Yeah, the opening cutscene has like 19 Ubisoft studios on it. Like, it's like literally, it's like I'm like, dude, every Ubisoft office in the world worked on this game. Going by the credits, dude, they like call out every studio. I was just like, wow, this is
Yeah, but I mean, what they could have done, you know, they could have scrapped it, or they could have let it come out in this kind of nondescript form we played earlier in the year, which wasn't very good, right? It seems like they're saying, no, let's try and get it right. And they're doing more dev time, more play tests. They did the same with, I'm going to forget the damn name of it now, but I played it recently. They're shooter that's Call of Duty-like, but anyway, yeah, X Factor.
It does look like they have a release date, though, and it's not a specific date. They have a window. The window is like a late this year, early next year. So
I would have pegged it for November. So
yeah, I think it'll probably be early next year at this point because they've got Mirage coming out this year. But if X Defiant, there it is.
X Defiant, yes.
If it comes out, my guess is they're probably keeping a loose date because they still are getting feedback and changing things and fixing stuff. But yeah, it is at least shaping up more into a game I'd want to play, because in 2015, when it was announced, it was just going to be a PvP version of the Assassin's Creed boat fighting. It was basically Black Flag, but hey, let's put that in a little sandbox and make it like a For Honor type game. And now it has a lot more to it than that. I was kind of surprised of how much of a game there is. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't need to go on Ubisoft, but I mean, I think, you know, we've joked before that I feel like we're a little too harsh on them sometimes, and it seems like these next round of games that they're delivering is pretty damn solid. So let's recognize it.
I like Ubi, but I'm gonna miss Immortals too.
Yeah, that's a shame for sure. It was surprising too. It got canceled. Yeah. So sad, but I do think surprising. I thought that game did pretty well for them, and it was very well received critically. So I don't know what happened.
EA, they're just putting their money in they're putting their money in their franchise baskets.
Yeah, I would say probably it just didn't sell well. I mean, Twitter isn't a real place. It's very much not representative of like the consumer on a whole. So yeah, gaming Twitter is a
Immortals did okay. It's just ROI, right? They think Assassin's Creed dollars will be better.
Yeah,
and I think they're right.
Yeah, they've got 4 Assassin's Creed projects in the works. So, anyway, well, that's cool. That's good to hear that it's shaping up a little better. Yeah, I didn't jump into this latest round, so that's good. What else you got?
Man, I've been playing so much. It's like all blur.
Well, I mean,
man, you guys are crazy.
We did skip Atlas Fallen again, which I think got skipped primarily when it released for the most part, but it's okay.
It's okay. There you go. Box quote. It's okay.
Yeah. I beat Ghost Trick. Did we talk about that recently?
We did talk about that.
Ghost Trick. Yeah. I beat that game. Great ending there. And then I started playing Armored Core 6 last night. Right before bed in anticipation of us talking about it today, because I wanted to be able to at least say I got through and beat like the first boss or whatever. And so far so good. I would say it's not, you know, I'm not in love with it as a game right now, but I think it's pretty decent. But you know, I imagine this is probably FromSoftware's like B team trying some new stuff and doing something a little different. So,
well, I
remember liking Armored Core back in the day. And this seems to have bitten off a little bit more of the Soulsborne than I would have liked to be added to the Armored Core framework. But
what about it as Soulsborne?
It's clearly framed in a difficulty level that the prior versions were not.
So just the difficulty?
Well, just the difficulty is certainly a way that you can frame it. But when you get to a boss that is before a save and before you can customize your mech, I think you can feel like you didn't get to the actual game before they give you a place where you're not saving, and they just have it be artificially hard before they explain how the stagger bar works.
Oh, are you talking about the helicopter you fight right at the beginning?
The helicopter, yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
The tutorial boss, yeah.
You can link me to Get Good if you like, but...
No, you're not alone. I mean, I saw other people struggling with it as well.
And I think that's a mistake. You can say, oh, well, they did their vision. I'm not asking for an easy mode on the whole game, but I think when you're designing a game, you have to think about the fact that people have only just now played it. It's the first mission. It's designed to make you feel powerful. You're going into the city, and they don't explain how basically anything works before they just say, here you go. Sorry, you can't go on to the actual game that you purchased.
Yeah, and I will shout out at this point too. I spoke to our good friend Cerebral Paul, who, if you're not familiar, he has cerebral palsy, and he does accessibility live streams for Xbox and other things. And he was commenting that from an accessibility standpoint, it's very challenging too. It's not very supportive of that, you know, being able to Hoeg's point, being able to allow people that have accessibility issues to overcome their challenge either. So,
and my left hand isn't awesome. I mean, I'm not telling you this is everybody's experience with this game. And so I'm working through stuff when I play every game, but I think that's a difficulty spike that is unwarranted and doesn't work well for actually getting you into the video game.
Okay.
That's the worst place for it. Really? I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough for me to comment on such things because I beat that boss. No. I beat that boss, or I died on that boss on the first try. But as you guys know, like, you know, I love From games and I love Souls games, so that wasn't a tough expectation for me. But to Hoeg's point, I can certainly see how this is a different franchise, right? It's not a Souls game. And I do agree, excuse me, with the fact that it's kind of weird to put this little tutorial area at the start with a boss that for some people can be challenging, and you can't even save. So like, I had to run, like I had to leave the house, and I was at the checkpoint at that boss. So I thought I saved. I left the game. I came back, and I had to go through the very start of the game again. And I was like, and I was like, that's not great. You know what I mean? Like
right before the boss gets summoned, right when you're scanning.
You do, but you have to stay in the game. If you leave the game, you got to start over. So, and then to Hoeg's point, once you beat that tutorial boss, the game actually starts, and you get access to your garage where you can modify your mech, right? And then I have now gotten 3 or 4 missions past that. I have about 4 hours in it, something like that. And now the part shop has opened up, so you can start to customize your mech and buy different parts. And it's starting to get really cool. I haven't gotten far enough to really talk about it in depth, but I'm hoping, for me personally, like I love the customization and building out your mech and those types of things, but I'm hoping there's more to the world. Like I don't want every mission to just be go fly and blow stuff up, fight a boss, and move on. Like that's going to bore me. So we'll see.
Seems like that's what it is. Like
might be
our mutual friend Ben from Gunfire Games. He just beat it last night, and he and I were talking on Discord while he was playing it, and he was like, I mean, it's okay, but it's sort of like he kind of got the same impression I did, which is like it's sort of their B team trying some weird stuff and making an interesting game, but he wasn't really blown away by it. So
it's interesting because again, not to go back to the meta conversation, but it scored extremely well, right? It's another very, very highly rated game. I think it's like 87 or something, which is
that
pretty
seems
damn
kind of
excellent.
high to me. I mean, I've only played the first couple levels, but it seems a little high to me. Yeah,
that's what I need to see too. Like I'm a From stan, but I'm not going to speak unintelligently on it in the sense of I haven't played enough of the game to really speak about its depth. So I want to play more. We'll talk more about it, obviously, as time goes on here. Next week, I'm sure we'll be dominated by Starfield talk, of course. But we'll keep playing Armored Core 6 and see what happens. But on paper, anyway, it seems to be a pretty big hit. A lot of people playing it, especially given the time frame we talked about. And, I think it does say something, which it feels almost like a slight, even though I know you don't mean it that way, Travis, when we say it's like their B team. But if this is From's B team, they're doing okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely don't think it's a bad game at all. It's just,
Yeah,
it's a different type of game. It's a lot more linear. It's less like ambitious. It's just like, hey, let's make a cool, almost like throwback mech action game. It kind of reminds me of like older, mech games. You go through and lots of bullets flying and missiles blown up and stuff like that. But I guess the thing that hasn't clicked to me yet is why this is like special or different from other like mech games I played before. I just haven't seen that yet.
I don't think we've gotten one in 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see too. Yeah, I'm waiting to see too. And throwback to some games like Mech Assault and even Slave Zero for the Dreamcast fans out there. But I haven't played one of these types of games in a long time. And I agree with you, Travis. Like I see the people raving about it. I see people I trust saying this is an incredible game. And I'm, like I said, 4 hours into it. And I'm like, okay, like I need to see more because I'm not getting that vibe at the moment. But I could be too early. I could be too early.
You air dash and you throw off 6 missiles. I mean, I think it's very smooth in a way that the older games were not.
Yeah, it plays excellent. And I decided to go PC, so I'm playing it ultra wide. It supports 120 FPS, and so it's flawless in terms of how it plays. I love that. So yeah, but the only thing I put on our notes here is around FromSoft. So you look at, we've talked about their delivery before, but 2015 they have Bloodborne Game of the Year candidate. 2016 they have Dark Souls 3 Game of the Year candidate. 2017 Dark Souls Remastered, Sekiro. I think 2018 I think was Sekiro. Was it
no, because 2017 they won Game of the Year, so 2018 was God of War.
2019 then I think it was Sekiro was Game of the Year, and then obviously Elden Ring was Game of the Year, and then next year we get the big expansion for Elden Ring. So I mean, FromSoftware just feels like, and I say it all the time, but it feels like they're clicking on a level that most studios just aren't. They're right up there at the top in terms of what they're producing. So it's good to see. A couple comments real quick, and then we're going to get to Gamescom. We had Gamescom this week in Cologne, Germany. A lot of cool announcements and games showing off there. We've got a whole list to talk through here, but let's catch up on just a couple of these things real quick. And this is a throwback comment, so sorry we didn't get to the super chat earlier.
Debbie, thank you for the $5 super chat. Laura Bailey's saying Daughter of the Sea for WoW. So her being able to sing isn't a surprise.
I would say it is for people that don't know that song. I didn't know that she did that. I don't know what that song is, but yeah, it was a surprise to me. It's a very nice voice that doesn't kind of blow out into the Broadway ham.
Sure.
That's cool. Very cool.
The cool thing about her too is she's got a lot of like range. Like you can choose to be like a super aggressive character and it changes her voice and musical styling, and then you can be like a good guy and she becomes like a lot more flowery. And yeah, it's a cool.
Well, yeah, and the instruments help there. They have like a harp that goes with the good, and they have like an electric guitar that goes with the badass.
Yeah, badass one's the best playthrough, by the way. we played through it multiple times. You know,
I like Charming best, maybe.
I think the music is best on the badass playthrough anyway.
Nice, Debbie. Thank you very much for the super chat. And Tao with a member comment.
Yeah, member for 9 months. Thanks, Tao. 9 months. Holy crap. We need a co-stream of gaming. Moving out to Overcooked 2 Party Animals, Mario Party, anything to get the crew losing it.
Oh, yeah.
That is a lot of stress.
I would do it.
So this will take some coordination.
I get mean and Overcooked. I get mean, guys. I'm gonna be mad at all of you at some point.
I'm gonna throw your food on the floor, Travis.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's the right strategy, though, in that game. You know, whatever it takes.
So let's. This is gonna be like herding cats, like I joked last week, because it might have been Tao who asked us about this last week. So trying to get the four of us together on a time to stream is gonna be challenging. Maybe we can aim for maybe the holidays. We'll talk behind the scenes and see if we can find time, maybe around Christmas time, to do that. That'd be fun. So we'll see. Thank you, Tal.
Time zones. Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
Also,
Dan. Shout out.
He's always available. Nothing going on.
Also want to shout out Vintage Willow, as always, just offering 10 subs over on the Seasoned Gaming side, or 10 memberships, excuse me, which is just incredible, week in, week out. So Vintage, thank you so much. I say that every week, and I'm going to continue to say it.
Thank you, Vintage, because I got one this week, which I do not subscribe to this channel. So when I get one, I get to use my own tie emoji, which I really appreciate.
You see what I'm dealing with? You see what I deal with over here?
Thanks to the tie emoji back. Let's do it. Let's word it up. Boom. There we go.
Oh my gosh. Appreciate it though. All right, let's jump over to Gamescom. So Gamescom this week, Cologne, Germany. If you're not aware, Gamescom is actually the biggest in-person game show in the world. Just a huge audience over there. A lot of Europe comes together. It's kind of like their old school E3, if you will, if E3 was still functional. But we also had Keeley doing his opening night live for Gamescom, where we saw new trailers for a bunch of stuff. Someone else rushed the stage again because
Can I just say about the rushing the stage thing? I'm so glad that it happened in Europe as well, because it's like, all right, guys, can we stop the narrative that it's just an American thing that we're obnoxious? Because you guys are obnoxious too. I'm glad that there's a little bit of equalization there. It's great.
We need to get Jeff some security.
I think, yeah, the fact that what happened last time happened, it's like one of those things where now everybody who's a bad actor knows that they can do that probably.
Yeah, I mean, after the first time, they should have really kind of beefed up their security around there and made sure that they were prepared for something like that. And apparently he didn't, or they circumvented it.
What are you supposed to do, though? Like put guardrails around the audience? You know what I mean? Like there's not really a good way to...
Sure, like, you have standing security every 10 feet in front of the stage.
You've been to a sporting event, right?
Come on, man. No, he hasn't been to a sporting event.
Have you been to a theater, though? Like this is common at every theater event. There's not like... It's not normal to have security guards standing in between the stage and the audience.
I agree, but would you rather have someone run the stage with a weapon? I mean, security there.
No, the weapon. I think that's a different problem. That's a security checkpoint before they get to the seats. I'm talking about from the seats to the stage, where the stakes are fairly low. The policy should just be that you trust the audience to not do that, because we don't have this problem at any other event.
I agree.
I'm just confused.
But...
Yeah, we do have this problem at other events. I mean, Smith.
Are you out of your mind?
What events does this happen at?
And try to get on there. They throw stuff on stages and hit artists in the face with like beer
cans.
About
concerts.
Well,
yeah, that's
no.
I said Will Smith.
Just because it's an award
Kanye.
show.
You did the stage too.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we have a couple high profile bad examples of this working, and people are like, oh yeah, it's
You
just
put a
in
big
fashion.
beefy guy at the end of the
Yeah.
aisle. That guy is not trying that.
Yeah,
I'll
you just
stand
put
down there.
a couple people. That's all you need. It's
I mean,
not-
people came to the stage. They had security. People came to the stage and got that guy off pretty quick, but
Yeah.
you only need 1 second, right?
give me a cattle prod.
So you put them in
Faster
front of the
than I
stage.
look, dude. Let's do this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, all jokes aside about it, like, yeah, I agree with you, Travis. Like, this shouldn't be needed. Absolutely, it shouldn't. But here we are, right? It's happened twice, and I mean, Keeley himself, right? Just because of who he is and how well known he is, you can't trust people running the stage. And I've seen Keeley; he's a toothpick. Like, it wouldn't take a guy more than 5 seconds to do some serious harm to Keeley, and you don't want that.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
you don't want that.
Here's my proposal. As I have long suspected, the biggest problem with the games industry are the gamers. Right? I think we can all agree. The fans are the problem. So I say, let's get the fans out of these fan events. Why not that? Let's just have like E3, just a room full of industry professionals and developers, and we can just get rid of the real problem. Right, guys? The fans.
Fair. You go ahead,
I'm
put that out there. Suggest it.
I am suggesting it
Broadcast it.
right now on a broadcast. I think we should get rid of the fans. That's the problem. It always has been in my book.
Yeah. But anyway, outside of that moment, Gamescom seemed to be really great this year. I've talked to a lot of people that were there. I was supposed to guest on a show on Friday, but that stupid work thing got in the way to talk kind of live about it. So, yeah, so let's run through some of these games that were kind of shown off. The biggest announcement for me personally was Little Nightmares 3. So I am
so hyped on that.
Dude, I'm a Little Nightmares stan. 1 and 2, I mean 2 in particular, incredible games. Now the only thing to be aware of here, if you're not aware, is that Tarsier Studios, who did 1 and 2, are actually developing a different game. So it's not the same developer. Funny enough, the developer doing Little Nightmares 3 is Supermassive, who have done all of the interactive horror games. Man of Medan and I'm going to forget the name of them, House of Ashes, all those ones. So we'll see if they can deliver something up to the same standard. The trailer for the game obviously looks great. It looks like it's just in the vein of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. So super excited. Bandai Namco is still publishing it. So we'll see, but I'm pumped. Because when Tarsier said they're moving on to different projects, many of us assumed that Little Nightmares was done. Like, we weren't going to get another one. So I think that hopefully Bandai Namco recognized what they had here in terms of an IP, because from everything I've read, Little Nightmares 2 did very well commercially. So we'll see. I hope Supermassive can deliver. So none of the three of you excited for this?
I
played any of them.
I played Little Nightmares 1 and 2. They're both good little games, but they're one of those games that I had fun with, and then I kind of forgot about them like a week later.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I played one, and then I was done. I was like, nah, this is all right.
They're good though.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Fair enough. All right. This is what I'm working with. You see this? Tell you what.
Yeah, no. I mean, in your defense, Ains, most people are on your side of this. Like, everyone I talked to about the show, they're like Little Nightmares 3, and I'm like, I mean, if that's the thing you were most excited about from that show, then I would say that probably wasn't a great show. You know what I mean? I was more excited about Alan Wake 2. I think
It was an okay show. I think Alan Wake 2. I'm obviously very excited for Alan Wake 2. They're being very, very coy with anything related to that game. So I was not impressed by them saving that to the end of the show and then it just not being very much.
Yeah,
I got way too
I
much.
thought that was a weird choice.
Enough Alan Wake.
Yeah.
I
that's
didn't
fair.
get enough Call of Duty. It should have been just a Call of Duty show.
You can have that, Travis.
Oops, all Call of Duty. That's literally my nightmare, by the way. I'm not being serious at all right now. That would be the worst show possible for me.
The COD Con? We call it the COD Con.
I would not want to do that. That's like a frat party, basically. If you go to that. Imagine.
But yes.
What do I remember from the show? I really liked Alan Wake. I liked seeing the new season of Diablo. I wasn't expecting them to announce that early.
Well, you have notes in front of you with the games we're going to talk about, or you should.
We don't look at your notes.
I know.
Page, but it feels like cheating.
Good God. Alan Wake 2, yes. So we mentioned last week it is delayed a week to October 27th. So, which is, I don't know, just weird. But it showed very well. The people who saw it up close and in person and behind the scenes have had nothing but very, very high praise for it.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, and supposedly the fidelity on it is extremely, extremely high. So, yeah, pumped for it, man. It's cool that we're finally getting that. So,
Alan Wake is one of my favorite games ever. So Alan Wake 2, I'm very, very excited about.
Has not aged well, by the way, Hoeg. I know you're starting to play it, but
I'm
the story is
right
fantastic.
Now.
But
It is aged fine. Don't listen to Travis. Travis wants to execute you all, gamers.
Look, first of all, yes, I want to execute you all, and I want to do it to the aforementioned Nazi song. We're gonna play that while it happens, so that Hoeg. That's my olive branch to Hoeg for him to get him on my side. No, I mean, look, I like Alan Wake a lot. I made my. It's not pro-Nazi.
It's not a pro-Nazi song, people.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
I feel like that shouldn't even need clarifying, so we can just let that one go.
I mean, look, it's coming from a radicalized YouTuber. We don't know what he's into. He collects it. It's just historical artifacts, okay? It's part of his collection.
Yeah.
His grandfather lived in South America at that time after the war. We don't know what his deal was. Right? He was taking a drink. Anyway. Yeah, look, I made my fiance play Alan Wake 1 because I was like, this game's so important to me. And she was like, this game sucks. The combat is, I mean, the combat was pretty mid when it came out, and it is, I would say it holds up even less well.
I'll say what I always say about Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Combat is not the be-all and end-all of gaming experiences. What Alan Wake does is it tells a good story well with an environment that's interesting and takes you through the beats of interactivity and conflict, but that's not the point of that game.
Correct. But if what you're spending most of your time doing is not fun a lot of the time, that's a problem. I think we can agree.
To me, it's the same as an old school RPG, right? Like you say fun. The fun is making it through the story and getting bits and pieces of the mystery and getting the next chapter started and seeing the cool things they do with cinematics and whatnot. And getting there is just a matter of getting through conflict points. So when you play a Final Fantasy, you play through turn-based battles to get to the next beat. That doesn't mean that the turn-based battles just being menu options isn't a part of the fun.
Yeah, I agree that games can have multiple things about them that are fun, but if you're spending most of your time doing a thing and you don't really enjoy that thing and it feels like a chore to get to the story, that's a problem. And it sounds like the sequel is probably going to fix that issue, but like just from the perspective of somebody
like Control, I'm not going to be thrilled.
Yeah, I know. And we disagree on that one. I like Control a lot actually, but we'll see.
Control is Remedy's worst game.
Okay, sir.
Wow.
First of all, Quantum Break.
Quantum Break is better than Control.
I liked Quantum Break. Quantum
Break is significantly better than Control.
Indigo Prophecy.
Indigo Prophecy is a Quantic Dream game.
You're right. Why did I think it was Remedy? What did they do? What did they do before? Max Payne.
Max Payne is better than Control. Max Payne 2 is better than Control. Max Payne 2 is also 3 seconds long.
Wow.
I can't remember any other Remedy games. And I thought
Indigo Prophecy was other games. Any better, Travis? I also like Control, so you may have to rethink.
I think Control's good, and I think it's one of their higher reviewing games also.
Come on, Travis.
Hoeg's opinion is pretty fringe.
Come on, Travis.
Control a 4.
Travis.
Wow.
Remedy did Crossfire X's campaign, my friend.
There we go. Hoeg, that's indefensible. You know that's gonna be the worst game. I know you didn't play it, but trust me, that game is a 3. The campaign is a 3, the multiplayer is a 2. Play that game, Hoeg, and then tell me it's their worst game. Play it.
Oh my god.
It's on Game Pass. Play it.
I never
dare
played
you.
it, but
Is it? I think it's
Crossfire
gone.
Crossfire isn't their game, right? Crossfire is like
They
their-
made
No,
the
it's
campaign.
Smilegate.
Look,
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
click on the campaign, it goes to an all new menu. It has the Remedy logo pop up, and it was made by them. So I'm gonna say that counts as their game, the campaign.
And Lucy has said it's gone too. I'm pretty sure Crossfire X was just wiped. Like, yeah, it's
I mean,
gone.
it's just a
but-
fever dream.
what? That no way. You're telling me I can't go back and play?
No, they
Crossfire
literally
X.
announced they were shutting it down. I'm not joking.
I know they're shutting down the servers, but you must be able to get access to the campaign because the campaign was only available to people who bought the game. So what did you buy if they took that down?
No,
too?
I meant I think multiplayer shut down, and I think they took it off of Game Pass. So I guess if you own it and want to buy
if
it,
you
can
own
play
it, if you
but, yeah.
pay $30 for the campaign.
Yeah. By the way, someone said Hoeg is much quieter than the others. I'm trying to fix that now. Bear with me.
That's never happened in my life.
Yeah. He screams.
He screams. Anyway, where were I?
We were
So
talking
I
about
want to.
games that we were interested in. I
Yeah.
want to talk about Payday 3, a game I'm extremely excited about.
Yeah, go
Extra-
ahead, because I have that on the list. Go for it. I know that a lot of positive previews were popping up about it, but I haven't paid much attention to it. So go.
Yeah, positive previews about that game, and this is one I've been trying to find an excuse to cover, and it just hasn't worked out. I am hoping I can do the review, but it's so close to Lords of the Fallen 2, Ains, that I don't think I'm going to be able to review it either. But I really like Payday 2, one of my favorite co-op games. Great game, great concept for a game. We don't have enough heist games, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm very excited for the sequel. Does anybody know anything about it? I know very little about it except for that it's another Payday, and that they almost make the game because their C-level executives all got arrested at Starbreeze a while ago.
Yes, Starbreeze was a mess for a couple of years. Yeah, but it sounds like the core development around the IP has come together to make this. It sounds like the support behind it is pretty strong now that they've gotten cleaned up, if you will. And
yeah, literally.
yeah, quite literally.
Also, remember that Psychonauts 2 documentary? It was like a 27-part documentary.
Psychodyssey. Yeah, Psychodyssey.
Part of that documentary is at the beginning they're looking for funding and they choose as their publisher Starbreeze. And as soon as they did that, I was
remember
like,
that.
"Oh no! I was like, oh no! This is a terrible time to do that."
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, because I was because if you remember, Psychonauts 2 was on Fig. Remember, it was crowdfunded originally.
Yes.
And I'm a huge Psychonauts fan, so I was all over it. And then I saw that, and all hell broke loose with their execs, as you said, and it was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But so Payday 3 is being published by Deep Silver, who is did what do you call it that we both reviewed, Dead Island 2.
Yep.
So, and I know they have support of Xbox too, because this is a Game Pass game. So I don't know if Xbox is helping to kind of fund any development or if it's just a deal for Game Pass. But everything I've seen about it and the people I've talked to that got to see it up close say it was impressive. So
yeah. I mean, I really liked their last game, and I think it was also in Game Pass, which may be how I learned about it. Oh no, because I played it pre Game Pass. This was years ago. For the
it's pretty old now.
Xbox One, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, great game.
Xbox One. Oh, you mean Xbox One? Yes. Thank you, Xbox.
Yeah, that one. Xbox One, last generation of Xbox, which, as we all know, is not confusing at all. But yeah,
very cool. I'm super pumped for, I know you mentioned it earlier, but Phantom Liberty. So CD Projekt Red during Gamescom held a live stream, a long live stream actually, where they showed off not only really Phantom Liberty, they showed less of Phantom Liberty, but what they were showing off was Cyberpunk 2077 2.0, which it's kind of funny. It's called the 2.0 update because it includes a huge wealth of changes and improvements to the game. But if you obviously go back, the joke with Cyberpunk, if you go back to their pre-launch stuff, right, you could maybe consider this the true 1.0 in the sense of, I think now this is going to be the game that they always hoped it could be. So, for instance, there's an entirely reworked policing system across the city. There's more regions and more things to do in the region, new gig style, new gigs that can pop up, and just more stuff going on in the city. There's new skill trees, and the skill trees have been reworked. There's new perks that you can put on. Melee combat's been completely overhauled, so now you can do a full melee build, kind of more akin to what we saw out of some of those initial trailers. Just a whole lot of kind of positive changes and things that they're going to be supporting. And then on top of that, of course, it's another performance upgrade on consoles, and then on the PC side, they're supporting DLSS 3.5, which is like the most advanced version of NVIDIA's AI generation, right? So for ray tracing and things like that. So it just looks stunning. So this comes out September, I want to say 26th. I'm going off of memory, I think.
It's end of September, yeah.
Yeah. So, if you haven't played Cyberpunk, you can kind of consider this almost a relaunch, if you will. That's going to include the Phantom Liberty expansion.
Relaunch.
Well, when they announced this, or when it got revealed that they were doing these upgrades a couple months ago, it basically killed all desire for me to play or to attempt to play Cyberpunk again until this 2.0 happened. It's like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, I was about to start.
The opposite fact where I was like, all right, 18 months ago or whenever it was, I think we were doing the show when the true 1.0 of Cyberpunk came out. The
fully functional Xbox version. No, and I played through it a little bit, and I tailed off of it because I hate the middle of this game. But I was going to get back into it, and then there articles started popping out about, they're changing policing, and they're changing the skill tree, and they're doing all these things to change the game, and I decided that I wasn't going to play it until that was out. So it's an interesting marketing. I mean, they don't care. They have my money. But it has killed all desire to play the game as it currently sits with this notion of we're going to change everything in a couple months.
Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
I had the opposite reaction, and I'm glad I played Cyberpunk. I do think that game is a 7 out of 10 for me as it stands today. But
come on.
Ains, come on, defend a higher score for Cyberpunk than 7 out of 10.
Just read my review. It'll defend it. There. Done.
Yikes. I think the biggest problem for me is I don't really like being in the Cyberpunk world. It feels pretty dead, and just, you're walking around the streets with the most relatable creatures just walking up and down the sidewalk with little to do. The children. Such a weird game, man. For me, it just didn't really. The side quests were the best part. Some of the.
I really like when the car goes crazy. Yes.
Yeah, the car going crazy was a fun one. There were some little moments where I was like, okay, I see it, but the main story didn't really hit for me. I didn't really like where that ended up.
I'll say that.
I'll say this as always. I love Keanu as a person, but I don't enjoy his work largely, unfortunately. So
shame.
Anyway,
yeah, I couldn't disagree further, but that's fine. I think I really, really enjoy Cyberpunk. It's not. We've talked about this before. It from a writing perspective, it's not up to The Witcher 3. But that 99.5% of games aren't. That's not really a fair criticism of Cyberpunk. I don't think. I think that
also the combat isn't good. The shooting is pretty
not fun.
Yeah,
it's not. They went for an FPS style, and it's not. Compared to your kind of core FPSs, no, it's not. It's not up there. Yeah. But I don't know.
It feels closer to Fallout 4 to me in terms of but Fallout 4 without a VAT system. That's yeah.
Sorry, Shoosh just said Witcher 3 is not good as well, and it made me pause. It made me pause because I don't know how you can have such an opinion.
Look at Hoeg's eyebrows. Eyebrows. I've never seen them do that.
Jesus, I don't even know where I am right now.
Entitled to an opinion.
Okay.
If that's a Witcher 2, I would agree with him.
Everyone is entitled to opinion, but not all opinions are worth listening to or created equal. And
I love Witcher 3.
Yeah. Anyway, I love.
With that game, I saw like where it started off with like V jumping into like a hammer or something, and then it just shows all the new skill trees and all the new stuff you can do. Then I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of going back and redoing all the UI stuff normally, but at this case, I'm kind of fine with it because I've never been also a big fan of the mouse controller. Got to drag your.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I know that's probably going to be the same, but it looked like it was a little bit more streamlined. I like Cyberpunk. I don't think it was, when it launched anyway, I had a lot of problems, but I still enjoyed it. It was fine. I'm probably a little bit higher than these guys are, but it's just, I want to see what this is. Because to me, this is going to be the final form, kind of, Cyberpunk. So we'll see.
Yeah. I already had it.
And it is the final form. Like this is it. This is Cyberpunk's not getting any more expansions. They've already said that Phantom Liberty is it.
Have they announced anything more about, like, I know we're supposed to get that free DLC if you bought like the Cyberpunk console. They're going to give you like credit.
They're going to give you money.
Xbox just giving us money. Yeah.
Okay. It'll just show up on your account then.
I have no idea. I have no idea how they're
doing
that.
Go talk to your accountant wife. She'll tell you.
But
I don't even know what the words she says are half the time. So.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. So I'm pumped about this, and I want to try and go back through the game again, but just time, man. Cyberpunk's a big game, and the way I play games, especially with Phantom Liberty and all the new things in it, that could be 150 hours, which I don't know if I'm going to have, but I'm going to try. So we'll see. I may be reviewing Phantom Liberty as well. I haven't figured that out yet, so we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, Cyberpunk, and then Mortal Kombat 1. I actually started to talk about this last week, and then we got distracted by something, and we never came back to it. So I want to quickly.
Is that true?
Now there's a horseman.
It's true. I mentioned it. You said wait, or no? Dan said before we go there, let's talk about X, and we talked about that and totally forgot about Mortal Kombat 1.
Well,
so
let's go and talk about the thing that Dan brought up last show. What was that?
Right.
By the way?
I'm just gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute Travis real quick. And but anyway, Mortal Kombat 1. I was playing this in the playtest week before last, and it's excellent. And I mean, obviously, we're in kind of fighting game nirvana right now with 2023, and we'll get to Tekken 8 in a second. But Mortal Kombat 1 looks to be the next evolution, obviously, of Mortal Kombat and the cameo system. But if you played 9, 10, 11, you know from a combat perspective and from a kind of fluidity perspective how solid this game is. And I'm really, 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 really liking what I'm seeing out of this game. It plays extremely well. It's super smooth. There's some really interesting updates to the core characters, but the cameo system, I think, is going to really, especially at high level play, is going to really kind of change the game a little bit. And then what they're showing off at Gamescom and other events, because they've really been pushing the marketing on this game, is not only the characters, but what's going into the world. So we've talked before about the way most people love, including myself, the way Mortal Kombat does storytelling in a fighting game. And I think that that's going to be another kind of high tier thing for them here. But there's some other game modes they've been showing off, which is really interesting as well. And I just think from a fighting game perspective, this is going to be another kind of big total package that really delivers. I reviewed Mortal Kombat 11, gave it a very high score. I love that game. I thought 9 was excellent. X, or 10X, whatever you want to call it, I was kind of indifferent on. But I think this is going to be truly special. And I think that, if you're an MK fan or a fighting game fan, this one's going to be yet another major release in September. So
I would like to personally protest the naming of 1, but other than that, yes, I think it looks good. And
I'm a big fan of 1.
I love Mortal Kombat. NetherRealm stories the best in fighting games, so I'm sure it will be fun.
Injustice 2 had a really good one. I thought, and it was just something interesting that you don't really see. Actually, I don't play fighting games very much. I played that because I was enjoying the storyline.
Yep.
So, I mean, I sucked. And it was hard, but
I think Mortal Kombat games are best when they go back to the original tournament arc story, which is why I like Mortal Kombat 9 tremendously. 10 and 11 are great games, but like there's something about that original tournament arc and This is now going to be the second time NetherRealm has done this. Turn back time to the original tournament arc with Mortal Kombat 9 and now Mortal Kombat 1. And I think it's when Mortal Kombat's at its best. I also play Mortal Kombat for the story. It's worth noting. So I'm kind of in Hoeg's camp for this one. Like, I like fighting games, but for me, I don't have the patience to just keep playing fighting games over and over and over again for hours at a time. So really, the only way you're going to get me to play a fighting game is if there's something else, some sort of like meta to do, and getting through a super cool story is definitely a way to do that for me. So I'm very excited to play Mortal Kombat 1 because anytime we go back to that original tournament arc, I'm down, man. I mean, that's peak Mortal Kombat to me. Reminds me of that movie that came out in the 90s that I saw when I was like 4 years old. You guys remember that?
Well, 9
Great
is
movie.
straight up that movie.
What's that?
9 is straight up that movie.
Oh yeah, it is 100%, which is why I like it so much. And this looks like it's just going to be like a variation reboot of that movie as well. So with Raiden as Immortal, sounds super fun.
As long as they don't do the new movie, I'll be okay.
Yeah. The weirdest, well, I won't get off on a tangent about the new movie, but I agree that the number Mortal Kombat 1 is kind of strange. Obviously, it makes sense if you finish Mortal Kombat 11 and you know where the story arc went. It makes sense with what they're doing with this game, story-wise, but it is weird to just see Mortal Kombat 1. Regardless, I love the art style. I love almost everything I've seen about this game so far. And like I said, playing it just kind of further doubled down that this is going to be awesome. So I agree with you, though, Travis. It's hard for me. I love Mortal Kombat. It's my favorite fighting game series. Grew up playing it. And normally, if this game were to come out at a time where we had some space between major releases, I would put a lot of time into it. In fact, I have my MK stick from MK9 sitting over there right now that I was using last week. But I'm kind of worried with so many games releasing, so many big releases, especially ones like Starfield, Phantom Liberty, etc., that take a lot of time to play. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to put enough time into MK1 to be kind of competitive, because if you want to play this from a competitive standpoint online, you have to put time.
I'm not going to be competitive.
I used to love that, and I still do, but I don't think I'm going to have enough time. But I'm hopeful. Elu, who is a mod for our Seasoned Gaming channel and in the chat right now, he's our fighting game reviewer that reviews all the fighting games, and he's pumped about this one. So
I'll be looking up my combos at the start of every chapter, like I always do.
Fair enough.
And that's nothing wrong. To be fair, even people who are competitive do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the first
Nothing wrong with that.
Learning the game. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Staying with the fighting game for a second is Tekken 8. So we got a release date January 26th. Tekken, I'm less big. I'm less on Tekken than Street Fighter and MK, so I know less
Tekken's
about
my favorite
Tekken.
Fighting game if we're just doing the fighting.
Okay.
Tekken is my favorite, but Tekken doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that keep me coming back.
Sure. Yeah, so September 26th, and I know people like Hoeg, and I know he's really big on Tekken, and some others I speak to seem to be very high on this game as well. So Street Fighter 6 crushed it, still crushing it. MK1 looks fabulous, and Tekken 8 looks fantastic as well. So
is this the first time all three of those games have come out in 1 year?
In 1 year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What a weird year, man. What a crazy year for games.
And there's others too. I mean, we just put up a little review of Guilty Gear Strive, which was the expansion to Guilty Gear that, again, Elu did for us. That's up on the site now. So you have that. You have Blaze Blue, I believe, has another one. I'm not the fighting game guy.
Blaze Blue this year?
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. So great time to be into fighting games, but very cool. A couple other things I want to talk about. So Xbox had a big presence there. We talked Starfield, obviously, is kind of taking over the hype train, if you will. And as we said, the embargo on that's August 31st, so we can't talk today about it. So come next week, we'll talk a lot about Starfield.
Very little Starfield at opening night live, probably because it's so close to release. But other than that live action commercial, was there anything else?
No, just kind of the hype train. Your merchandise and, all that stuff. Everyone's talking Starfield. There's banners everywhere. If you want to buy a backpack looking like Starfield, you've got that, that type of thing. So you're right. We're right at launch. Comes out in 4 days, I believe. Early access, Travis's favorite thing. It's August 31st. Actually, you can play it on our time zones. So when's August 31st?
31st? Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
Thursday.
You can play it Thursday night.
Did they release
Thursday
one of those
night?
maps?
Yeah,
Is it 9 p.m. California? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's 9
No,
p.m.
it's 4 p.m. California because it's 5 p.m. I'll pull it up. But I'm
Hey,
telling you,
What is it in New Zealand?
Okay.
Asking for a friend.
it's global, Dan. It's global, Dan. It's global.
Oh, damn, global
Yeah.
launch. Shit.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because embargo is the morning of.
Yeah, you
August
can play it. You
31st,
can play it the
so-
night after embargo.
Man, that's close.
Yeah, that's odd.
They're running it real close.
Yeah,
Right,
someone can
right.
tell me in the chat. I'm trying to look right now, but they posted the global time zones this week, and I was surprised, to your point, Travis, at how early it was. I'm pretty sure, going off of memory, it's 5 p.m. Central or 6 p.m. Central on the 31st. So, yeah.
Interesting.
That is early.
All right, well,
I'm still awake
can-
to play it here in the Eastern time zone.
Hey,
Well,
Hargeet's in the chat. There he is. So there you go. Hargeet sorted us out. Shout out to Hargeet, good friend I hung out with in LA. 8 p.m. Eastern time, August 31st. There you go.
I had no idea. I'm glad I was on this show.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here too, Hoeg.
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, you can read all of the news about Starfield and many of my video guides if you want to know things.
I'm
like.
just gonna watch Travis all day and then play the game.
Actually, you could probably do that. By then, I'll have multiple guides out: how to make money in Starfield, ship customization, starting classes,
No.
things to consider in making
No.
your class. You can do all that. It's great.
No, I agree with you, but I'm not going to. Starfield is a login and just get lost in game. Come on.
I mean, good luck with that, I say to you, sir.
Have Travis in my ear the whole game.
Yeah.
What better experience can you have?
I'll remember that, Ames, when you hop into our group chat asking me questions. I'll remember your.
Have I ever asked you a question on how to play a game?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Yes.
See
Yes,
our
you
group chat,
have.
folks. It's just me saying this helicopter is BS.
Yeah, that's usually what we're talking about.
Or this
or
maze.
Dan complaining about teenagers in a game. You know,
Or I
the
hate
usual.
these cubes. Half of the chats are me hating cubes and helicopters.
So outside of Starfield, of course, Forza had a big presence, which naturally I won't go on about, but I'm super excited for. Showed
That looks
extremely
nice.
well. Yeah, it showed extremely well. It looks to be running very smooth. I did talk to Erwin, Forza Erwin, if you know him, who does Racing from Home on YouTube. So he was putting up some videos of it. So shout out Erwin if you're watching. Looks just fantastic, and everything I'm seeing about the game looks fantastic. A couple of the guys I talked to on our Discord about racing and Forza and stuff are really hyped for this. So I'm 99% reviewing Forza, so I'll have obviously a lot more to say on that here next month or in October. But super excited for that. But the game,
Are you qualified
Qualified.
to review Forza Motorsport?
Stop
Can I see
it.
your bona fides? I just don't know. I feel like we can
Am
get
I
somebody
qual-
better on that. Dan, do you want to review it? Dan, let's get you on.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Yeah.
I think so.
Might qualify. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I mean, I
He's
just
Porsche power.
Yeah.
do you have any photos of you in like a car that you could share with me after the show?
No, I don't. No,
Okay, none of those?
No,
You
I
haven't
don't. I
even
don't
seen the
drive.
Fast and Furious movies. I don't trust your opinion on cars.
Very
I
fair.
drive a Honda Pilot. Whatever that means.
This is-
Yeah. I don't know,
There's so
Ames.
many
In my
comments
mind-
running through my head right now.
Look, I think of you in a car and it's a Ford Pinto in my head. I don't know why. That's just what I see you in.
One of the ones that didn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so super hyped about Forza, but the game I really want to call out is Towerborn. So if you're not familiar with Towerborn was shown debuted in June at the LA showcase, Xbox showcase. It's made by Stoic, which are the developers of the Banner Saga series, which was pretty critically acclaimed. I don't think it did anything fantastic commercially, but this game is a side-scrolling co-op kind of 4-player ARPG, if you will, in the vein of something like Castle Crashers, like the old kind of Dragon's Crown, the side-scrolling kind of co-op action games. So it's kind of taking that gameplay, but putting it in a really, really fluid art style and adding kind of deeper RPG elements. So more more character customization, looting, those types of things. So everyone I've talked to, from Jez over at Windows Central to multiple people who played this game. I got to see it in June, but not as hands-on as the people at Gamescom. And very, very positive things to say. This is jumping up a lot of lists of, hey, one of the most impressive games at Gamescom. So I did a little preview of it on the site. You can check that out if you want some more information about it. But this is one, if you're into those types of games, this is one you should be paying attention to.
Survival games.
What was that game with the little
It's not a
alien
survival
back
game.
in the early days of Xbox Arcade?
Alien Hominid.
That's the one.
Yeah, but your Castle Crashers is the one that's more relevant to this. So
Adventure game? What would you
I was just
describe
thinking
it
of
as?
old games I liked.
yeah, Alien Hominid was cool. I mean, that was the same developer. That's Behemoth, right? They went on from Alien Hominid to do Castle Crashers, and then they did what is it? Pit something? Pit Fighters? Pit People? Something like that.
Pit People! Underrated game.
Yeah. It's a good dev. Good dev.
They're good.
Can't even tell if you're doing a bit.
Me?
No.
Game?
Pit People's a game.
It's a good
Underrated
game. Seriously. Yeah, very good
So
game.
Sounds like a particularly startling Twilight Zone.
Pit People.
And Battle Block Theater. Good call, Tal. Battle Block Theater.
Battle Block
too.
Theater is also underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that studio just in general makes kind of underrated games.
They make great games.
Weirdly, the game I like least that they've made is probably Castle Crashers, which is like their the most popular one.
Castle
I like that
Crashers
game.
is epic.
Actually, you know what? I do like Alien Hominid less. I think they've
Yeah.
gotten better though. I think their games get better over time. But people love Castle Crashers, and I'm like, it's all right. I mean, it's good.
I think part of the reason is that Castle Crashers, at least in my household, that was when my kids were young. And it was a lot of family co-op play with Castle Crashers, and it's fun. It takes you back to the old, like I grew up with like Golden Axe, right? Going back to the Genesis days and Sega days. It's just side-scrolling, play together, beat enemies and bosses, and have fun, and it's fun games.
Altered Beast.
Altered Beast. I dare someone today to go back and play Altered Beast with your normal set of continues and beat that game. Go for it.
Rise from your grave.
I'll beat it.
Yeah, you have to stream it, and we'll see. Yeah.
I have to stream it.
Travis
You don't get past
I'm
level
out.
3. You don't
I'm
get past
out.
level
I
3.
don't want to stream a game ever under any circumstances. Do I want to stream a game?
Oh my god.
I concede just based on that requirement alone. I don't want to.
It's not the game; it's the camera that scares him. But anyway, Xbox big booth, big presence, which was cool to see. And then the other game that was cool to see back up in the limelight at Gamescom, one more I want to talk about, is Black Myth Wukong. So this game kind of came to prominence last year when it was just shown in a clip from a Chinese developer, and it looked kind of like Chinese mythology mixed with Souls-like. It was reappeared here at Gamescom. It's apparently showing again very well. And I know IGN did a preview of it, as did some of the other big sites. So checking out some of the footage of this, I'm assuming it plays as well as it looks, which it seems to do by all accounts. Super excited for this one. It looks brilliant. And the thing I'm really excited about this, and I've talked about this before, is as China grows in development and India grows in development, and we get some of these developers in these other regions making these kind of big budget experiences, I'm excited to play these types of experiences with new mythologies, with new stories, with things we haven't seen before. And it looks like Black Myth Wukong is kind of doing some of that, which I'm pumped for, man. Hope it's great. All right, good talk.
No, I think this is the one I got confused with Wukong earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah. Which is another really good game that's been almost forgotten about.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
It's been a year. Yeah, I actually didn't even. I previewed that game I think 2 or 3 times. I thought maybe I might review it, and then I just never played it. When the game came out, I have it installed on my Xbox. I just never played it.
I played it for like an hour and a half. I'm right there with you, and I want to go back, and it's just too many games, man. Burf90, hey man, he said, what did Aiden say he was afraid would be overlooked? I think you're referring to Towerborn. One word, Towerborn. You can look it up. Like I said, check out Seasoned Gaming. We got a preview of it. There's obviously other previews up on other sites. I think IGN actually has some like a 9-minute footage video of it you may want to check out, but it's really cool. So, all right. Anything else on Gamescom, guys, that I missed or you want to shout out?
No, I've already said I'm still surprised you didn't mention the Diablo season. I thought that would be high on your list.
Season of Blood, yes. So season 2. Well, the only reason why, to your point, is they announced it really early, and I don't know if they did that because I haven't been playing Diablo for a little bit now, 4, but because I haven't played it in a little while yet. I still have like 350 hours in it. What was I going to say? But the season doesn't start till like mid-October.
Yeah, because season 1 only started at the top of August. So
yeah. So it seems kind of weird, but yeah, it's definitely exciting. And I think, as with any game, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but with any game, as the developer kind of gets into the full cadence of delivery of these seasons and stuff, feels like Blizzard will get better, get more acclimated, the content will improve, things like that. So yeah, be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they didn't announce it because season 1 didn't light the world on fire. It's not as exciting as one would have hoped. I like season 1 a lot, but it's not massively upending the Diablo formula. It's not doing what the Path of Exile team does with their seasons. And so I think maybe they wanted people to be excited for the next thing earlier than they had thought. But
yeah,
I like the announcement. And clearly what they showed at opening night live is the opening video, because it matches the opening video type that they had for season 1. So I mean, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, agreed. Art agrees. October, forget about it, man. All the games we've talked about in October, plus you've got all these new seasons of big games like Diablo, like Halo, like Call of Duty, like all these other things. I think Apex, there's a few others. So yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Speaking of Path of Exile, I don't know how much we've talked about it, but Path of Exile 2 is finally being shown coming next year. And if you haven't checked that out yet and you're into either Diablo 4, maybe that was your first kind of big ARPG experience and you're enjoying it, don't sleep on Path of Exile to begin with, but don't sleep on Path of Exile 2 coming next year. It looks absolutely remarkable.
I'm playing it tomorrow.
Are you? Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fantastic.
And to Travis's point from so many of these episodes, I think it's good to see that Blizzard has their stuff together in terms of they're announcing Season of Blood in the middle of August. It appears their pipelines are all functional right off the get-go.
Yep. Yes. We've got odds and evens teams working on seasons staggered while their primary team works on major expansions that are yet to be announced. I think they're doing a bang-up job. The decisions they've made and the stuff that they have decided to patch or focus on or debuff, I think, is maybe questionable. They're making some mistakes I've seen made before. A little bit of overreacting to the meta rather than letting the jello set, as it were. But I think that's a lesser sin to commit. They're making a lot of really good choices with how they've built their team and how they're delivering content that I think is awesome.
Big agree.
But yeah,
Big agree.
I'm playing Path of Exile tomorrow. They're coming. They'll be in San Francisco, their team, so they're going to show me.
Awesome.
I'll be writing about that.
Steal a copy for me, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Jagger says, don't sleep on Grim Dawn if you want a good ARPG. I've heard that from countless people that Grim Dawn is also amazing. I sadly don't want to say this out loud. I've still yet to play it. Every time I go to purchase it, it's like, am I actually going to have time to play it? And I just haven't, but I will get to it. I love a good ARPG. So, couple comments before we move on from Gamescom. I want to get to Destiny 2 yet and the final shape presentation, which we're going to have Travis kind of educate us on. And we got to talk about the PlayStation Portal handheld as well, but we do have a couple more super chats to get to.
All right. JP, Spectre N8. What is that? Czar? 70?
He has super chatted before, and I always forget what ZAR is. Let me look it up. Go ahead. I'll get it.
All right. Super excited for Alan Wake 2. Already seeing tons of Control connections with Hoeg's. Probably not going to like that. Also, the last Control DLC foreshadowed a lot of the premise for Alan Wake 2 and possible characters.
I don't
you play that?
have a problem with the Control world, although I do think it's questionable that they would want to demysticize Alan Wake as much as they might with the Control DLC. The problem with Control is that they didn't bother to tell a story with that as their premise. They just had a bunch of wild documents. If they're not going to do that with Alan Wake, there's no indication that they are. I don't have a problem with it connecting with Control.
Yeah, I would say the world building was not. Yeah, I don't think that was Hoeg's problem with that game. But yeah.
Did you play was it all AWE or whatever it was, the DLC?
Yes, that's the second DLC. That's the Alan Wake experience.
Oh, is that what it stands for?
It's a good one.
Yeah, Alan Wake experience. Yeah. By the way, that is South African rand. So, yeah, I forgot that. So, thank you, Spectre.
Gotcha.
Good to see you. Thank you
thanks,
for the
Spectre.
super chat.
Named after Ayn Rand, I assume.
You're right. Yep.
She's got her own thing now.
Yeah, checks out. Thank you, Spectre. And Shoosh.
Shoosh with €5. BioWare layoffs of senior devs, with Baldur's Gate 3 making money and with overall celebration of expensive RPGs on the background is rather depressing.
I mean, they haven't released it in years.
Yeah, a lot of commentary about this one. EA had layoffs kind of in other areas of their business, and BioWare was hit with approximately 50. We wrote about this as well, 50 layoffs. I did see some of the senior people who have been there for, decade plus, 15 years plus, and, they were let go. So it is sad. To Hoeg's point, it feels like BioWare, sadly, and we talked to, what's his name about this too, when we had him on. I always forget his damn name. I'm terrible with names.
Mark Dara.
Mark Dara, yes, thank you.
Dara,
and he
yeah.
did it. He did a video. I subscribed to his channel because he talks candidly about this stuff, and he did a video on this as well. But we talked to him about this, and it just feels like BioWare is one of those studios that just has been mismanaged in various ways for a number of years. And it's sad, right? Because then real people get affected who aren't even necessarily the decision makers, but they suffer because of bad decisions above them. And just another one of those instances, it feels like.
I would love them to release a winner. They just haven't in a while.
Hard agree. Yeah. And if you remember, I asked Mark point blank, I said, what is your confidence level that Dragon Age Dreadwolf is going to be, top tier? And he said very confident, or he said, I forget the word he used, but basically he said he's extremely confident that it's going to be top tier. So we'll see. I hope he's right. I would love it to be, because a good Dragon Age game, and then obviously followed by Mass Effect. What we heard this week is that Dragon Age, this is going to shock everyone, is a little behind in development, though it is they are kind of pulling more members onto dev from teams like the Mass Effect team. That's what I heard. So we'll see.
Well, Dragon Age is behind. Wait till people hear about Mass Effect. I don't know that
Mass Effect is years away. Like, no one should be expecting that anytime soon. Yeah.
Sad.
What's Mass Effect?
But it is sad. Stop it.
What is Mass Effect? See, this is one of the reasons Starfield hype is as high as it is sci-fi has just been woefully undersold.
Yeah.
Look, I think Mass Effect
1 is the best. You're right.
At the same development point as Beyond Good and Evil 2.
No, Beyond Good and Evil 2 isn't a real game.
Is what?
Beyond
not a real game.
Not a real game at all.
That's my point. Precisely my point. I don't believe Mass Effect is a real game. I don't think it's real right now, at least. I don't.
Yeah, there's probably like a foundation, and that's about it. So, Shoosh and Spectre, thank you very much. So, moving over to Bungie, and speaking of studios that have been somewhat under fire, Bungie with Destiny 2 and their but their showcase this week of the Final Shape, which is releasing on February 27th of 2024. And then the rest of my notes say, Travis, help.
Yeah. Bungie, having got a fresh pair of sheets to cover their mattress they pooped upon with their State of the Game previous week, which we talked about, attempted to beguile longtime fans and newcomers with a fancy new trailer and video, a series of, I guess it was a docu, what do they call those things?
Vidocs?
Vidoc,
yeah.
A Vidoc to get us excited about the Final Shape, the conclusion of the Darkness and Light saga. And I would say results are fairly mixed in their ability to do that. The final expansion does a few things, at least so far in what we know, does a few things that I'm excited about. It finally gives you a linear destination. So rather than immediately landing on a point where you drive in a circle and you've seen the entire map, they're giving you kind of a Lord of the Rings trip to Mordor destination where you discover the destination by going through it and you're headed toward this final tower for the final boss confrontation, which I think is pretty interesting. And then some of the other things that they announced were more like long-term things. Like they they are getting rid of the seasonal model as we know it. In the future, they're going to do something called episodes, which are going to be bigger but less frequent than seasons, which might actually give players that are more casual a reason to log in. And then they are, I think, very intentionally not announcing an expansion for next year, which is at this point in time, they probably would be doing that normally. And I believe that's because they're trying to distance themselves from the annual release model that has not worked out for them, because they very clearly cannot make a good expansion in just 1 year. And so I think what you're going to see in the future is episodes happening every 4 months or so, maybe 5 months, with less of a strict 3-month, 1-season timeline. And then expansions happening much more infrequently, but hopefully when they do happen, they'll be better and bigger. Probably 2-year development cycles would be my guess, maybe even 3-year.
That sounds like Diablo.
Each expansion, yeah. So I think I think that is super exciting, because Destiny has been sort of pigeonholing itself in 4 seasons a year with an expansion every year, and that really has not worked out for them, just based on the up and down quality of how long it actually takes to make a Destiny expansion. I think Lightfall definitely proved that, and I think the Final Shape might end up proving that as well, to be honest. And that's the bad news.
Bad way?
In a bad way. The bad news. The bad news part of it is I'm not sure the Final Shape is going to necessarily be the bookend we were hoping it to be, just based on what I've seen so far. The biggest disappointment to me is that the Witness, the main bad guy, and the
are you fighting that burning cigarette man still?
Burning cigarette man, yep. The main problem with that is that person is apparently coming without their own army. We've, for 10 years, seen pyramid ships slowly approaching Earth, and it turns out the pyramid ships have nothing inside of it, because the Burning Cigarette Man is an entire race of people that got condensed into one bodily form, and there are no other people of that race. And I was expecting, like the Taken King, the big bad to show up with their own new enemy faction that we've been waiting for a while, and it turns out we're not getting that. We're like Lightfall, we're getting one new enemy type in the entire game. So we've got Tormentors last year, and this year we're getting a new enemy type called Subjugators. But beyond that, you're still going to be fighting Hive, Vex, Fallen, and Cabal. And as you journey from the inside of the Traveler to the tower, the spire at the end of this thing, the Mordor, as it were, you are going to basically be reliving a 10 years highlights reel of all the stuff you've done. You'll go to a destroyed version of the original tower in Destiny, and it seems like we're going to be kind of like traveling through the history of Destiny. So it's sort of like a underwhelming nostalgia play without anything major to shake up the sandbox. And I'm not confident it's going to land, but we'll see.
Oh no, I always skip the clip show episodes.
Yeah, it honestly feels like a clip show with probably a big boss fight at the end. And there's just some stuff that, like, the story, I think, is just in such a bad place right now. Like, it's really hard to care about it. They're bringing Cade 6 back, but they've done nothing to explain how that's possible or why we should care about that. They basically
Nathan
just
Fillion signed a contract. How do you write that into the story?
Exactly. They basically just said in the Vidoc, hey, there's no way we were going to end Destiny without Cade there. And it's like, all right, well, cool. I mean, that doesn't really tell us anything. And so my guess is, you know, it's going to be kind of a long goodbye to Destiny and a lot of people who've played it. And hey, you're going to go through all the stuff and look back on your accomplishments, and then it's going to end in a boss fight. And then they also announced that you're not going to fight Cigarette Man until the raid, which I also think is kind of a tactical mistake, because it makes me feel like a lot of people aren't going to do the raid, and therefore a lot of people aren't really going to see the ending of Destiny's story. You know, I'm not really sure how logistically that's going to work. And so
they put the ending in the raid.
So they did the same thing they did in kind of the Taken King. If you played that, where if you just played the campaign of Taken King, you probably thought, oh yeah, I killed Oryx, but he actually like takes himself at the end, and then the real boss fight is in the raid when you fight a Taken version of Oryx. And then that sort of ends the story. They said they're going to try to do something like that, where if you just play the campaign, you'll feel like you finished it. But I don't know about you, but when I beat the Taken King, I didn't feel like I finished it, because the main bad guy was laughing as he did something to himself. And I'm like, I get what they're going for. I just don't have a lot of faith in their ability to pull it off. And I am very positive about the future of Destiny because I think the biggest wins from that stream were them setting themselves up for the future, getting rid of the stagnant seasonal model and doing beefier stuff, them getting rid of an expansion every year because I really think that they need more than a year to actually make a good expansion. All of that stuff is like cool, and I think I'm glad that they're making those changes, and clearly they're thinking hard about the future of Destiny. I just feel like there's a pretty good chance Final Shape is going to end on a pretty big wet fart for the people who have played for 10 years and built toward the ending of this particular arc.
Well, I'll tell you this, Travis, I'm not the biggest Destiny fan, but I am very surprised that there isn't a darkness race.
Yep, there's no darkness race. Turns out the darkness was a single being this entire time, and they explain that in a seasonal cutscene that is also supposed to explain where the MacGuffin from Lightfall comes from and a bunch of other shit. And it feels like the worst Band-Aid solution for a story that has been poorly told since the beginning. And I just I love Destiny. I will continue to play it. I talk about it every week on a show, but everything about this, I will tell you on the stream when they said we're getting one new enemy type or no one new enemy, the Subjugator, I just lost it. I was like, seriously, the ships were empty this whole time. 10 years of alluding to this army that was attacking us, and it turns out it was full of Vex and Cabal, or maybe nothing. It's very unclear, but yeah, man, I'm pretty bummed about what we saw from the Final Shape, but very enthusiastic and excited about what they have planned beyond this expansion, because I do think the underwhelming components of both Lightfall and possibly Final Shape, I think they both stem from the model that Bungie's been trying to sustain that it strikes me as extremely unsustainable now that they lost their support studios like Hoeg's brother. I don't know if they can sustain 2 seasons and an expansion every single year at the rate they're doing it, or at least not to the quality that will satisfy the players. And I think that's awesome. But in terms of the actual Final Shape, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it right now. Not as bad as Lightfall. I don't think it'll be as bad as Lightfall, but I don't think it's going to be like, a 9 or a 10 out of 10 that players are hoping for and frankly deserve at this point.
So what did I hear about the cost model? Are they making changes to that? Because someone was saying it's like now there's like an annual thing, and now there's an expansion cost, and there's like a season cost, and people were kind of ranting that this is ridiculous.
So the payment model in Destiny has been bad for a number of years, and it keeps getting increasingly worse. I think Lightfall isn't terrible because you're getting episodes and for basically a year worth of Destiny support when you buy the $100 version. But the thing that makes me happy is that with their episodic model, they're sort of leaving the door open for not having an expansion every year. And I do think that probably is going to benefit the consumer with, you pay for episodes that you want to play, or you don't pay for them. And then they sell you on expansions as they come out. And I think that is a lot better because you kind of know what you're getting rather than, you pay every year just as the cost of getting through the door to get into the expansions, and then most players don't even play those seasons because why would you? That's super niche. You've got to blog on a lot. So I don't know. I don't think what they're doing right now is any worse than what they've done in the past. I hate the way Destiny's monetized. It's a premium game that also has microtransactions, and you pay for transmog, and you pay for the seasons every season, and you pay for annual expansions. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think that some of the changes that they announced for the future maybe signal to that model getting changed in a way that will be positive, because I think the feedback so far has been that it's not a great system the way they're doing it. But we'll see, man. We've got to get past the Final Shape first, and I don't know how that's going to go over, but my gut instinct is telling me that there's going to be some people that are pretty let down, especially by the story stuff that they've already really, really missed on. I'm not satisfied by some of the answers that they've given. They tried to explain the origins of the Veil and the Witness in a cutscene during a season that apparently is going to be available to players who didn't play that season, but I don't know how much sense it's going to make. And also, I didn't like their answer. Yeah, it's just I hate to be down on Destiny, but I'm kind of down on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, you talked, and you know way more about this than I do, but I know you talked previously about Lightfall feeling like a filler, right? To give them more time for the final shape, to really kind of be the end-all, be-all of this Light and Dark saga. And now we're getting this in, 5 months' time in February? And you describing it as it feels like it's going to land flat seems like even more disappointing because of the fact that this was supposed to come this year. Originally, they delayed it, did this kind of filler expansion, but now it seems even with that delay, this ending is we don't know yet, but I trust you because you're usually pretty on point about this stuff. Feels like it's going to end flat.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as bad as Lightfall, but my instinct says they had trouble getting this together in the time they needed to do, and they diverted a lot of the team to working on Lightfall, and then the fallout from Lightfall plus the added work of having to make another year of Destiny caused them to need even more time for the final shape to be good, right? If they just didn't make Lightfall and they had their entire team focusing on final shape for an additional year without having to create anything new, I think we'd be looking at something different. And I think that's exactly what Bungie's thinking for the future. I think their takeaway is like, look, guys, the model we have now is not sustainable, and it's caused all of these development problems where we have to constantly feed the beast and fill a pipeline, and we just don't have the teams to do it. You know, in a world where they were still under Activision and they had like 3 development studios helping them, support studios, maybe we'd have a different story on our hands, but that's just not the world we live in anymore. And Sony seems pretty unwilling to lend support studios. I don't even know if they have studios that could support Bungie and the type of game that they're making. And actually, Sony appears to be taking the opposite approach of, instead of supporting Bungie in the games they want to make, they're kind of poaching their own teammates and putting them on other projects because they want to be the new king of live service games. So, I don't know if that should be comforting for Bungie and Destiny fans, but it's what's happening, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news there.
Yeah. Well, at least we have a date. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's a little ways out. We've got plenty of things between now and then. So,
and everybody that had Travis is in favor of Skull and Bones and not Destiny, you can fill that out on your bingo card.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, we lost Travis.
Yeah, you just went weird. Yeah, your mic just went. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, I was just switching mics. Apparently, I was broadcasting my AirPods this entire show.
We lost you again.
Yeah, it's all muffled again. Tech issues killing us today, everyone. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't really notice it at first because I thought it was my headset, but a couple comments said that you sounded a little weird compared to usual. So, there we go. We're crushing it today on the tech front, guys. Glad to be here. Well, I'll go ahead and move on while he's sorting that out. PlayStation Portal. So funny enough, Travis just mentioned PlayStation, but PlayStation Portal is the official name for the PlayStation handheld, PS5 handheld. If it's a device where it's basically a split DualSense controller with an 8-inch screen in the middle. So, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I just decided to turn it off and turn it on again. I was broadcasting this entire show from my AirPods, which is why my audio quality was bad. So, didn't realize that. Now I'm on this mic.
Your AirPod mic is pretty impressive.
Thanks, man. But yeah, apparently this was just ornamental this entire show. I was just talking into nothing this entire show. So thanks for whoever pointed that out. I had no idea.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. It's just one of those weeks where we're gonna have some interesting things. But anyway, PlayStation Portal. So we got the kind of full details on it this week. PlayStation blog put up. We have the details on our site if you want to check them out. But essentially, it is $199 in the U.S. Retail. It is a remote play only. And what this means, just to clarify, because there's a lot of confusion on this. So it plays games installed on your PS5 and it connects over Wi-Fi. The correction is you do not have to be on the same Wi-Fi network as your house, right? So you can play this in your house and you can connect via Wi-Fi and play anything installed on your PS5, but you can also play it elsewhere, assuming you're connected to a Wi-Fi or what have you, a network that has a good enough connection. So obviously, because you're playing over Wi-Fi, it's going to entirely depend on the connection quality, how well games play. It is an 8-inch LCD screen, supports 1080p, 60 FPS. I guess the big question on this, as you guys look at this, what's the market for this? I've seen some kind of analysts come out and say, basically ask that in a almost satirical way, like, what's the market for this? And then I've seen a couple other articles saying the market seems large for this, and people can't really seem to say from an opinion standpoint. From my point of view, I'm asking more of the satirical point of view, like, what is the market for this? Only because you're not natively playing anything. And I think one of the big question marks for me in this industry, as we talk about cloud gaming and we've talked about xCloud and we've talked about Stadia and all these other things, it just feels like the market for non-native play is rather small. And I don't know. I mean, it's PlayStation. I don't want to doubt their brand loyalty and their brand power because it's huge. $199 is a pretty low entry point. I get that. But it just seems like, I don't know, at least to me, it's not making a whole lot of sense.
So I will say I don't think there's a large market, especially in the United States. I think you get into more urban connected environments like maybe a Japan, and it has more of an obvious use case. I think it's silly to not have a cloud component to this thing. It can remote play your PS5. Why can't it play the stuff that you stream through PS Plus? That doesn't make any sense to me. So it's a loser product for me, but I also don't claim to be the entire market. And I can see certain folks with certain circumstances, heavy commuters with a lot of connectivity, maybe having a better use case than I do. But I think having it only be your PlayStation 5 is a silly restriction.
I think this is, I think the reason people aren't getting this product is because they're often comparing it to like the Nintendo Switch or the Steam Deck. And to me, this is a competitor with like Backbone products. You guys know Backbones, the controllers that snap on the side of your cell phone. I think that's literally all it is, right? It's for people who maybe don't want to use their phone, or sometimes the worst part of using a Backbone to stream a game is it ties up your phone. Sometimes you just want to put the game down and send a text, and that's pretty tough if you have the game playing on your phone and it screws everything up. So I think this is for PlayStation hardcore fans who like remote play and being able to play their games on a Switch-like device from their console and not taking up their TV. And that is admittedly an extremely small market in North America, probably. To Hoeg's point, maybe it's a little bigger in Japan. But like, I could see me playing a PS5 game and then my fiance being like, hey, I want to watch a show on the TV. And I'm like, all right, cool. Pop on the TV and I'll play it on my whatever this device is called. I actually don't even remember.
Portal.
Portal. Just call it a PSP. Everybody will understand.
PS Portal. Yeah.
PlayStation's become an Xbox, apparently.
Yeah. And I could see that use case, but is that worth $200? Maybe to collectors or enthusiasts who've got, $200 burning a hole in their pocket. But I don't think this will be huge. And to be fair, I don't think Sony is marketing it like it's going to be huge. Like, they're not really hyping it up. They're just being like, hey, here's a thing you can buy in addition that kind of adds something. And I would compare that to like what's something that Nintendo's or the Xbox sold or something. Like the accessibility controller, right? Like something like that, where it's like, all right, this is for a specific market that wants it, but we're not going to like do a full, push for it. It's not going to be on our show floor at E3 as like the main thing that we're trying to sell. It's just sort of another thing they've got in their repertoire.
Well, your use case is definitely the Wii U use case, right? Like that's what Nintendo tried to say is, oh, you can play it while your partner is watching whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess is about the best answer. So I don't know, guys. Comments, a lot of people. I think Hoeg's point is the most salient, which is why can you not play? They're supposedly going to support more and more cloud, right? PlayStation is. Why can you not play it that way? It's seemingly made for it. You have to connect to Wi-Fi anyway. Why? Like why? It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Isn't this just remote play?
It's remote play. It's a remote play device. Yes.
So basically, you can do it on your phone and get the same effect.
That's why Travis is saying it's really just the controllers, which is why it's a weird. I don't know if you feel this way or not, but like if you're gonna attract early adopters, to me, I feel like your hardware has to be a little bit sexy, a little bit interesting, and it straight up looks like they split a controller and slapped a phone in the middle.
Yep. It's a Backbone. It's a Backbone competitor. And I honestly think it's that market because there are people who play Backbones and like to remote play on a smaller device because it allows you to play a PS5 game. You could play your God of War Ragnaroks on a small device and not take up the TV. I think there is a market for that. I just don't think it's the biggest market in the world. And to be fair, again, I don't think Sony's marketing it like it's the biggest market in the world. I think they know that this is sort of a niche thing that they're just kind of throwing out there.
Well, and you know, the one nice thing I would say is that you get obviously better than a Backbone because you're holding a DualSense, right? And it does include all the haptics of a DualSense, so you get that. And the 8-inch screen is going to be better than your standard phone screen, right?
Yep.
So size-wise. So I mean, I get it. I will say we got this comment from Nissa who says, I'm a casual gamer and I want this. And then Scotty B said, I'm on the market for this. I have a strong internet connection while my wife plays her Switch. I can play on the PSP, and we can play on the couch together. So, I mean, there you go. There's a couple comments supporting it.
I could see that. To be fair, I bought a second PS5 because I needed one for remote play in the back room when I'm working on reviews. And if this were available 6 months earlier, I probably would have bought this instead of a second PS5. So
gotcha.
Even I kind of have a use case for this that now I don't because I just bought a second PS5, but I could see myself.
Of course, the business modelers don't want to hear that they killed a PlayStation 5 purchase for it.
Exactly. But they would have for sure. Because sometimes it's just good to have, like, you know, you're reviewing a game, you're in the back and you need a reference. But PS5's in the other room. I would have to boot it up. Oh, you know what? I actually have it right here in my hand, so I can like check things on the fly. That would be cool, but I probably won't buy this.
Yeah, Dan, I was going to ask you because I mean, you're often a use case for these types of things. Not you, but your household. With you know how many Switches you own and different components for your kids connecting and stuff. Does this make any sense in your environment or not really?
No, not at all. I can do everything I can on my phone. $200 is crazy. That's just crazy. The audio issues alone, you know, and whatever the hell they're doing, there's no Bluetooth. You basically have to hardline your
They don't support Bluetooth headsets?
No.
Yeah, there's something weird with it too.
Wired
I forgot to mention that.
You basically have to buy that and their $200 earbuds to actually get their whatever working. It's just a mess. And
that part seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
The Pulse Explore. They're called Explore earbuds. Yes.
It's not great.
Loves their earpieces.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, the thing is, you know, you say something about the Switches. I literally had to ask my kids, I'm like, where are all the Switches? I wanted to grab it, and I got 3 of them in this house.
Your kids don't just put them back in the dock?
I don't know what they do with it, man. All I know is that it drives me crazy. They're like, well, I haven't played it for a while. I'm like, yeah, but what
sounds
about
like
me?
those kids need a strong father figure.
Not me.
Discipline in that household.
I'll see what I can find, but I'll see that on that one.
I mean, I'd love to take credit, but my girls just figured out that it doesn't have juice if they don't put it back in the dock.
Well, no, it's I'm good with it. This is just another thing that I will not have. It just
fair enough.
Kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. You know, that's we'll see how that lands when it does launch. It's supposed to launch later this year. I don't think they gave an actual date. It just says later this year on the PlayStation blog. Details on pre-orders will be shared in the near future, is what PlayStation said. And if it's anything like most modern PlayStation stuff, you may only see this from PlayStation Direct. So just be prepared for that as well. So,
Well, speaking of weird headset stuff, did you see Sony bought a headset company?
they bought Odyssey, yeah, which is the one I reviewed recently. This is Odyssey, and if you're not familiar with Odyssey, they are higher end audio, kind of more audiophile like headsets and gear, not just for gaming but in general. So pretty interesting. It's Sony. Sony has always played pretty aggressively in the audio space. As we know, they have their proprietary Tempest engine on the PS5 side. And, you know, they always have their own codecs and weird stuff with audio, which goes back to this whole Explore. The headset and the earbuds are doing the same thing. It's like AI-driven, lossless audio. So cool to see them continue playing in this space. I was kind of sad to see them having acquired Odyssey, especially having talked to them and kind of explored with this headset recently. But the one nice thing is it says that Odyssey, it's really just a monetary acquisition. They're still going to make products for all platforms, is what they said. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I looked at your review. I just couldn't afford their product.
They're not cheap stuff. Yeah, but it's very good quality. Yeah, which, you know, sometimes you do get what you pay for.
Yep.
Sometimes. So one more super chat, super generous super chat from Siddharth, who has super chatted before from India. So big super chat. So
10,000, is that rupees?
Rupees, yes.
Rupees. Hey
Dude,
guys,
I can buy
just
you
wanna-
a lot of Zelda gear with that many rupees.
What? God damn it, Travis.
Get it, guys?
Habits always make
Hey guys, just want to say been playing Armor Core 6 since the second at launch. About to reach the end, absolutely blown away. Felt a bit cool in the first chapter, but man, the boss at the chapter 1 end is a bigger skill check and teaching boss.
Wow.
Than even
Genichiro.
I don't know who the Genichiro.
I
is.
have
Sekiro.
heard that, and I was gonna see if you got past that because
I haven't gotten to him yet.
Apparently, that's like learn the dance moves or get off the floor moment
Wow.
in this game. So,
First mech game, and it looks like I'm out another 1,000+ hours into it after Elden Ring.
Fair enough.
Don't know any.
Yeah,
of these guys?
Genichiro or Genichiro. He's from Sekiro, and he's considered. There, I will say, there's a few bosses in Sekiro that are no joke. Like those guys will embarrass you, and they did. You know, there's a lot of people who couldn't get past them. So, in my opinion, Sekiro is actually the hardest From game. I don't struggle too bad with Souls and Bloodborne in those games, but Sekiro for me was definitely harder. But anyway,
in Sekiro, I think it's easy. What is Genichiro? Remind me that boss. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, so you actually fight a couple variations of him, but he's the one, not Owl, but he's the one you fight on the roof that has the 3 stages, and the third is the lightning. If I'm thinking of the right boss, you can correct me if I'm not.
Yeah, gotcha.
Travis says everything is easy. He just likes to do that. Don't worry about him.
He does like to do that.
Yeah.
I've learned this over the years.
Look, I will admit, Armored Core so far is hard as heck for me. Like I also died to that helicopter fight a couple times, but I don't know what it was.
I got Ains boat because I died like 3 times, then I had to go, and then I'm like, I'm just not interested in getting back to him.
Yeah,
so I'll get up to it. I spent the money.
Yeah, that's a different problem, I think. Yeah, if you're getting interrupted, but like I just stayed at it until I beat it. But I will admit, Armored Core is tough, and it kicked my butt. I'm not above that, but there's something about Sekiro that it always clicked with me, and I just never had a problem with it. But I really like that game.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we always say with From style games is it's play style, and your play style can be different from others, and it can dictate. Like one of the most well-known things is, you know, I will struggle on a boss that Travis won't, and he'll struggle on a boss that I won't, just because we play games differently.
Yeah,
and so
because I'm like a parry bro, so Sekiro clicked with me, but I'm not so much a dodge bro, so I'm kind of getting my ass kicked in Armored Core because it's all dodging. You know what I mean?
And I'm the opposite. I don't parry. I'm a full dodge guy.
Oh, dude, I'm perfect parry all the way. So Sekiro just felt like it just fit like a glove with my play style, and now I'm just like, oh, I can't block these. There's no deflect of the missile if I get the timing right. So
no.
It's kicking my ass.
Yeah. So Cesar, thank you very much. Very generous super chat. Really appreciate you. Thank you for that. He also just posted that Sony also has their own high-end headphone division. Yes, they do. My father owns a Z1R, and it's incredibly high-end. Awesome. Very cool. You said Z1R. I started thinking Corvette, but that's just the car guy.
They also sold a $4,000 Walkman a couple years ago. Like it was like recent. Do you remember?
Like a throwback, right? It was like an homage to
and it was a Walkman with like the best audio quality ever. And I was like, bro, you're selling a Walkman in like 2016.
I had a Walkman Sport in 7th grade.
Yeah, dude. So you had take it out in the rain just to show that it would still play even when it was wet.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Did you guys ever get one of those skip-free portable CD players that you could jog with it on your hip and it wouldn't skip? It wouldn't skip, but it did.
Yeah, skip. It skipped all the damn time.
Guys, like I remember that. Like that was in the 90s. I remember. I see. I'm not that old or that young.
Yeah. You're not that old. You had it right the first time.
Actually, honestly, they're both true. I'm not that old, but I'm also not that young.
That's very fair. Very fair.
Just remember when Travis says something is easy, he was rolling around Elden Ring slaying dragons in his first 10 hours.
That's true.
Elden Ring is not that okay. Yeah, it's,
You're,
not, it's really
but
not
Ains,
that
you and I
bad.
agree on that one. Elden
It's
Ring
not
is
bad.
it's pretty easy. It's approachable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
but most people are not going to be killing that dragon in the entry area when they're at level 0. Like that's different.
No,
I
that's
realize
fair. That's fair.
I do have a skill advantage, but like my point is that just it is play style based. Like Sekiro made sense to me, and Armored Core doesn't make sense to my brain, and I'm having to like rethink how I do things to get good at it.
There's a lot more flying.
Yeah,
I
have trouble with that too. The Z-axis element kind of messes me up.
It's screwed with me a bit too, because your thrusters have a overheat too, right? So like I keep getting in the habit of trying to thrust around constantly, and then I'm like boo, and I'm like oh, I can't move now properly, and there's a balance there I've got to get into. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up for today, everyone. I do want to shout out Against the Tide. We showed it last week, but he threw up another AI art this morning, which just made me laugh. And I do want to just say one thing, because especially on Twitter, we've already confirmed this through multiple comments and commentary. But in case you weren't aware, Travis is in fact a ginger. We've confirmed it.
I'm not.
This is our latest. And I said, Dan almost looks like an old Sully. I love it.
Honestly, that is the most flattering picture of Dan. Hoeg doesn't look like him at all. I don't know what the AI is up to. Me, I get what they were going for, but why do I have Hugo Strange's glasses? That's insane.
Ains looks like 47.
AI is bad, guys. I will say this. Dan's that's the photo of Dan that would appear during a GTA loading screen. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe he'd have a gun or something, or he'd be carrying like some drugs or whatever. Or he'd have like a lady on to the side of him, like a lady.
Kind of like Breaking Bad Mike.
That's GameFire just said it's Breaking Bad Seasoned Gaming. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Also, why do I look so?
Like
you guys all look realistic cartoons, and me, it looks like they went abstract. Like they wrote, like they did a like Archie cartoon character.
You look like Archie. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a good.
How do I? Yeah, I can't.
You gotta.
No, you look just like.
Also, yeah, your smile, Ains, is horrifying in that photo.
Yeah.
You look like
Hawaiian hitman.
Somebody's grabbing the ends of your face and forcing you to smile.
I like it.
Also,
It's
Hoeg,
hilarious.
you looked like a camp counselor last week. This week, yeah, you look like Don Draper at the very end of Mad Men.
It's fun though. Ty, thank you for those. Thank you. They said it's Hoeg on vacation, then they all joined him. There you go.
I love it.
Yeah, they're giving us definitely a good laugh, so thank you for that. Thank you for everything, for hanging out. Sorry about the technical issues this week. Next week will obviously be a big show for us. A lot of Starfield talk. Easily one of the most hyped games of the year and hyped games in a while. So we'll see. Does it deliver? We'll see. We'll talk a lot next week. As Travis said, he's been helping a lot with the IGN coverage that you'll see this week. Embargo is August 31st. You can play it August 31st. So those of you, I know there's quite a few who have been anticipating this game for a very long time. It is only 4 days away. So
for some,
we'll talk a lot. We'll talk a lot about that next week, and along with anything else that happens. And other than that, I would say on the Seasoned Gaming side, pretty quiet. Like I said, still kind of catching up with Gamescom this week, especially. But there are a lot of Gamescom stuff on the site. You can check that out. Check out Towerborn and our preview of that. Outside of that, obviously, stay tuned for our next cast co-op. Travis, anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, next week, or I guess later this week, on Wednesday the 29th. I think that's right.
Tuesday is the 29th.
Tuesday 29th. Man, my video editor needs to get on that then. On Tuesday the 29th, my review of Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy will be live. I finished that review a while ago. And then I've got a couple other previews. I think Skull and Bones is happening this week as well. And then on Thursday, the big one, Starfield. I have 120 hours into Starfield. I'm sure by the time we talk next week, it will be 200. I'm going to play even more of that game. And I will have a lot to be able to talk about on Thursday. I'll probably tweet about it, zeet about it, and let you guys know, how I feel there. And then I'll have a lot to talk about on Thursday, I do a Destiny show where I'll probably talk about Starfield there because I think everybody on that show has played it. And then I'll also talk about it here on Sunday, and I will have probably more opinions than everyone else here because I've played a whole lot of it. So yeah, that's me this week. Got a lot of good stuff down the pipe, and then I'm looking forward to my next reviews, which are Lies of P, which I think I'll start next week, and then Lords of the Fallen coming up here pretty soon.
Is Lies of P that close? Too many Souls games.
Yes,
Lies of P is mid-September, which means I'll get it probably early September.
It's 3 weeks away. I think it's like September 17th or something. It's not far. I mean, September's here. So, yeah. Hoeg, anything you want to call out?
No, I don't think so. This is a lot of fun. I like talking about video games with you all. I will probably only have played Starfield for a few hours when we talk about it next week. But I look forward to talking about it with Travis. He's always a positive force in the universe, always happy, go lucky, loves everything, loves everybody. So I think it'll be a fun conversation. I think people should get excited about that. It is a big, big release, and I think it's been a great year of enjoying video games. I wish I had more time.
Big agree. So anyway, hope everyone has a good gaming week. We will see you next week for the big conversation, of course. And as always, thank you for hanging out with us. And we will see you next Sunday from space. Until then, peace.